Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk, live and direct on a Monday. We are back for the weekend with 3 hours of sports talk for you on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream. Our YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Our Facebook page is WIBW News. However you're checking out the program today, thanks for being along with us as we get things revved up for this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. I am Dan Lucero. Brendan Dworzinski is with me. Spencer Dupuis will be along a little later on. Be a bit of a swinging door kind of situation on the show today, but you'll hear from all of us as we go along for the next 3 hours. No Royals baseball tonight. Homestand begins tomorrow. 3 with Tampa, 3 with the Dodgers. A huge Royals homestand. We'll preview it tomorrow, but today we'll look back on the weekend that was. It was a good road trip. 4-2 on the road trip. You take it. It's not a great ending to the road trip. Royals trick one off yesterday, lose in walk-off fashion, 3-2, had a 2-0 lead in the 7th, let it get away. And some bullpen difficulties over the weekend. Even in the game the Royals won, they blew a 4-0 lead. And one of the primary culprits, Royals' best reliever, Lucas Erceg. How worried are we about last year's prize deadline acquisition from the A's? Erceg this year, particularly since coming back from his injury, been a little bit iffy. Are we worried long-term about the Royals fireman? And should Matt Quatrero be reconsidering how he manages his bullpen? And not just vis-a-vis Erceg. There were some other decisions that I think fans were questioning over the weekend, including one Sunday that genuinely baffled me. We'll talk it through. We'll recap the weekend that was. Royals, again, go 4-2 on the road trip. Objectively good. They left town 4 games underwater. They come back to town 2 games under 500, just 2 games out of a playoff spot. So you take a 4-2 road trip, but it could have been even better had the Royals managed to secure one of the games on Saturday or Sunday in San Diego. But also, they only scored 3 runs in those 2 games. So, maybe we're asking a little too much of the pitching staff and the bullpen and Matt Quatrero. If you're going to score 1.5 runs per game over the weekend, you're going to find it hard to win either of them, regardless. So we got some baseball that we will get to on today's program. Also going to talk some football. Our Chiefs countdown to kickoff continues. We are 74 days away from Chiefs-Chargers in Brazil. And number 74 for the Chiefs is Jawaan Taylor. We're going to talk about the Chiefs' incumbent right tackle. We sure he's going to be the right tackle in Brazil week 1? Maybe some new information changing that possibility. We'll discuss where Jawaan Taylor sits going into 2025. And does he take too much criticism, or has his play, in fact, been acceptable at right tackle for the Chiefs? So we'll talk about Jawaan Taylor a little bit. We'll also have our NFL insider, Matt Verderam, join us as he does every Monday. He's our guest today, Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated and That Football Show on the KC Sports Network. He joins us bottom of this hour on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline, our NFL insider, to talk Chiefs and everything else going on in the NFL as we enter that 1-month dead period, the NFL dead zone between minicamp and training camp. Chiefs report to training camp on July 21st. We're going to talk some Big 12 football as well, inspired by something Brendan saw in his journeys across Al Gore's internet. There are 14 Big 12 teams that are not Kansas and Kansas State. And typically generally we have nice things to say about Kansas and Kansas State going into this season. Kansas State should be a real contender in the Big 12. And KU should be back in the mix for a bowl game at worst and could be a surprise dark horse contender in the Big 12 at best. We generally say nice things about the Jayhawks and the Wildcats. But what about the other 14 teams? Can we find something nice to say about the rest of the Big 12? We'll do our best for as many teams as we can possibly get to a little bit later on the show. We'll try saying something nice. And if we can't say something nice about them, then we're just not going to say anything at all.
While putting this together, not that this really matters for any sort of real purpose. KU and K-State are now much farther down the list alphabetically in the Big 12 now.
This is true.
The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of the top 7 alphabetically are new within the last 3 years.
So you count UCF as a C, or do you count them as a U?
I count them as a U. Arizona State, Baylor's been around. BYU, Cincinnati, Colorado, Houston.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so KU and K-State used to be 3rd and 4th alphabetically.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, a little further down the pecking order now. But we'll see how many Big 12 teams we can find something nice to say about.
I think I can say something nice about most teams. I'm going to give you a little spoiler. Unless you pick them from your allotment, I've got nothing for UCF. Sorry, Knights. It's cool that your stadium is officially the bounce house now. That's all I can give. That's not actually about your football team. They might be very, very bad. Sorry, guys.
I literally wrote down bounce house is a sick name for a stadium.
It is a great name.
That's the nice thing I said about UCF. All right, we can scratch them then.
All right, good.
Yeah, we're done with UCF. We're done. We'll do the other 13 teams, as many as we can later on in the show. Plus everything else you've come to know and love from a Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, including the final playoff roundup of the spring/summer. We'll retire the segment after we recap the NBA Finals. We will retire the segment until baseball season, and then we'll bring back the playoff roundup then. But we got our sports headlines coming up, 5 o'clock hour. Got a new week starting on What Is Wrong With You coming up, the good, bad, the ugly from the weekend that was as well. Plus your interaction with the show. Want to hear from you throughout the program today. You can text the show. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also get at us in the chat feature on our YouTube stream. The name of the YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already, and watch the program on YouTube if you've never done that before. We have a live chat feature on the web browser or mobile device over there on YouTube, and you can interact with us and your fellow listeners as we go along today. A happy good afternoon and happy Monday to Casey, Mark H., Vance, so far in the chat. Ryan is in as well, and I know we'll see more of you throughout the show. Thanks for being along with us here for this Monday version of 580 Sports Talk. Brendan's back from a little diversion this weekend. You enjoy yourself?
Yeah, saw some of my wife's family. Went up to beautiful, scenic Des Moines, Iowa.
Getting loose meat while you were up there?
I did not. No, not really the loose meat crowd, unfortunately. Although I did regale my wife with stories about how good the shakes are at Made Right.
Listen,
ridiculous.
The Made Right shakes are in fact made right. There is no question about that.
Preposterous.
S-tier shake.
Yes, but no, we had a good time. Had some good Italian food while we were up there.
Okay.
You want to talk about a city that is now facing some Kansas City-like urban sprawl? Oh my Lord! You and I, when we went up for the NCAA tournament, we stayed in Ankeny,
right, just north there, I think.
Which even by Des Moines suburbanite standards is apparently like, wow, this town feels like a giant strip mall. But like we were in the town of Waukee. It feels like Olathe. Feels like Southern Overland Park.
Sure.
Just continuing to spread forever. That's kind of what Des Moines feels like.
This has been 580 Des Moines talk.
Their whole town, her aunt told me, their entire town, essentially, neighborhood, has been built in the last 10 years.
Wow.
Every single building, tree that's planted, everything within the last 10 years.
And Des Moines seems nice. Like it is,
Arena was nice.
Yes, Wells Fargo Arena is very nice. They got a nice ballpark, AAA ballpark.
Where the Iowa Cubs play.
Yeah, it's nice like right on the river.
The domain of the kingdom of minor league sports teams.
Yes, it is a very good minor league town.
AAA baseball.
And I do not say that as an insult. I think Wichita is a really good minor league town.
Yeah, they got G League basketball up there. They've got an arena football team.
Drake basketball they support very well, and not a power conference, but a mid-major conference.
Non-Scully D1 football. Yeah, good sports town.
No, that is not an insult to say a town's a good minor league sports town.
No, Wichita does a great job with that too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. Glad you're back. Glad to have all of you along here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll start with the Royals, 3-2 losers to the San Diego Padres yesterday afternoon. An ugly way to end what had been a good road trip for the Royals. Won their first 4 games on the trip. Thought Friday was one of their better wins of the season, actually. Took the early 4-0 lead. Jonathan India had the 3-run home run. San Diego punched their way off the mat, tied the game in the 7th inning, but the Royals immediately responded with 2 in the 8th and withstood a solo home run by Manny Machado in the 9th to win that one 6-5. I thought that was a really impressive win for the Royals, a really nice way to start the weekend. And then they stopped scoring runs. Scored just 1 on Saturday, lost that game 5-1. Hard to fault Noah Cameron in that one for allowing 2 runs over, I think it was 5 1/3. You kind of point the finger at Taylor Clark giving up the 3-run bomb to Fernando Tatis Jr. that put that game beyond doubt. But hard to win when you score 1. It's also hard to win when you score 2, and that's all the Royals could manage. But boy, with Seth Lugo cruising into the 7th, it looked like it might be all they needed. Of course, in the 7th inning, things got sideways, and they got sideways with the same group of relievers that it got sideways for on Friday. First, it was on Zerpa. And I understand why Zerpa is the lefty of choice to come in with runners on base, the inherited runners guy. He was one of Matt Quatrero's top choices for that last year, and down the stretch pitched pretty well and had been in a good run of form this season. But on Friday night, ran into a hiccup, gave up a couple of runs. And on Saturday, he walked a pair and was charged with a run in that 7th inning as well. The walks are inexcusable, but I get why he's the choice, because you go back to Friday night, and one of the hits he gives up, the hit he gives up to the left on left to Jake Cronenworth, is a 78-mile-an-hour ground ball that just happened to have eyes. And later in the inning, Zerpa gets a double play to get out of the jam and at the time preserve a 4-2 lead. That's why you bring him in, because he throws a sinking fastball, and his tendency is going to be to get ground balls, get the double play to get you out of trouble. Unfortunately, he had no command on Sunday, and there's not much you can do about that. Zerpa's not been a guy who has been particularly walk-prone this year. He had an unfortunate bout of wildness on Sunday. The greater concern is Lucas Erceg being on the mound for a pair of blown leads on Friday and on Sunday. On Friday, with 1 out, he walks Tatis and then gets a fielder's choice ground ball. So there's 2 outs and a runner on first base, but Manny Machado gets him on a 3-2 pitch with a ground rule double. And then Gavin Sheets singles in a pair of runs, and that tied the game at 4. And Erceg also gives up a seeing eye chopper to Xander Bogaerts, ends up being a hit before getting Jake Cronenworth to ground out to end the threat. In yesterday's game, Erceg comes in with runners on, a 2-0 lead and 2 outs in the 7th, facing Jose Iglesias. And my problem was with the execution more so than it was with the guy brought in to pitch, because Erceg got ahead of Iglesias 0-2 and then just laid one 97-mile-an-hour center, and big league hitters are going to do something with that. And Erceg did, took it the opposite way. 2 runs scored, game was tied. And Erceg was fortunate that it did not get worse for his final line when Jackson Merrill's deep fly to right field was taken back by Jack Caglione for the defensive highlight of the youngster's career so far. And then Erceg gave up another seed to Machado. He was fortunate that it was right at Bobby Witt Jr. to end the 8th. So Erceg was able to put up a 0 in the 8th, but a lot of loud contact, not a lot of the swing and miss, not a lot of the strikeouts that we saw from Erceg when he was so overpowering last year. And the numbers, you go get the advanced data, and it bears this out. Batters are simply swinging and missing less. They are also chasing less out of the zone against him. And the end result is you get a rough weekend for the Royals firemen, and a game that was very nearly lost on his watch, and a game that a lead got away on his watch. So the question with Erceg is, do they need to take him out of the fireman role, or can you leave him in that role moving forward? And my lean is to think that, look, the fastball hasn't backed up, still an elite pitch, still his best pitch, the big fastball. He's still throwing it hard, and he's still throwing it for strikes. Erceg doesn't walk guys. He's going to fill up the strike zone. And I think that gives him a chance. Also, he's not home run prone. He's only given up 2 home runs in 28 2/3 this year. And they came in back-to-back games. So he's not a particularly home run prone reliever, and he's not a walk prone reliever. Those are the two of the 3 worst things that can happen. Mm-hmm. And the 2 things that a reliever has the most control over. And Erceg has remained really good at limiting those things. but he's no longer really good at striking people out. Just 22 strikeouts in 28 2/3 this year. That's a bit of a red flag for me. And it might be small sample noise. And I'm inclined to think that it could be. But that's why I see a red flag here for Erceg, is not just a minor step back when it comes to strikeouts. It's been a big step back from 11.2 strikeouts per nine in his 25 innings as a Royal last year to just under 7 strikeouts per nine so far this year. So if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times, Brendan. You want to be an elite reliever, truly elite, trustworthy, you got to miss bats.
Yeah, you got to miss bats. You got to strike guys out because that's the most repeatable thing that a reliever can do, right? Looking at the numbers from StatCast and Baseball Savant, the fastball has actually been even more effective and faster on average for Erceg this year than it was last year. The big drop-off is his breaking ball went from elite to bad. Like, that is not a plus pitch at this point. And that's, you're setting dudes up with that 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and then you're trying to knock them down with the curveball, right? Or the breaking pitch. That's not there. That has not been effective. And there's a couple of different things I think that could be a reason why. One, it's the lead track from Machine Head's 2018 album Catharsis. You know what that song is called?
I am not familiar with their more modern works, no.
One, that album sucked. Two, the song is called Volatile. Yep, that's relief pitchers. That's why at the deadline, you go trade for guys on expiring deals. You go trade for rental relievers. You know why you don't pay relievers big money? Because year to year, unless you've got Rivera, Hoffman, modern, like
Wagner,
like
Kimbrel in his prime.
Yeah, Kimbrel in his
Chapman.
prime. And then but even for Kimbrel, when it fell off hard. And teams knew it because they didn't sign him that offseason. That the Cubs finally signed him, and he was okay. I mean, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't the dude who looked like he was going to be a surefire Hall of Famer. Mason Miller's really good in Oakland.
Misses a ton of bats. But
Sacramento, whatever.
Yeah, but even he's gone through a rough patch recently.
It is a volatile position for any number of reasons. And many of them, the reasons why these guys went from starting pitchers in the minors or early in their major league career or in college or whatever to relievers now for the majority of their major league career. Lots of things can go into it. So I think volatility plays a role. I also wonder if in recent games it might still be the back that's bothering him because
he's not all the way healthy.
Yeah, and I know because he looked good in the minors, but Lucas Erceg is considered a guy who should be, at least as of last year, an elite setup man, fireman, closer, back end of the bullpen guy. He should look really good against single, double, triple A guys. He should look like that. So I would not be surprised if there's still something bothering him there. The concern for me is I wouldn't even say this is like especially small sample size at this point. He was out for a little while with an injury. He's still thrown 28 2/3 innings this year. You know, it's not like he's only made 6 appearances and he's getting his sea legs. Like he's pitched a considerable amount at this point. So I don't think I wouldn't hate giving him a spot or two that, you know, not a full-on demotion. Like, you know what? It's a 4 or 5-1 game, one way or the other, win or lose. Like, let's give him some work here. Like, not taking him out of that role, but maybe we, you know, if the next day we wish we had him, okay, so be it. But let's just try to build it up a little bit. I don't think I'd go full demotion at this point because I still think with that fastball velocity, with the stuff he's got, so to speak, I still think he might be your best arm. But you got to build up the confidence a little bit.
I still trust Erceg in the sense that when I see him on the mound, I do too. I think there will be a good outcome again because he doesn't give up home runs and he doesn't walk guys. Like that's going to give him a chance to be successful even without striking out a whole bunch of guys. But if you're going to be in the fireman role, you do have to miss some bats because you're going to be coming in with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And you don't want to be subject to the whims of a ball in play. You don't want to be subject to the whims of a ball with eyes or a duck snort. You want the swing and the miss. You want to bring that outcome into play. The problem with the Royals is they just don't have a ton of relievers who are doing that at a particularly high level this season. One other thing from Sunday, and Christopher brings this up in the live chat, suggesting that the Royals should have walked Iglesias in the 9th inning yesterday, set up a force at home or a chance at the double play. In case you missed yesterday's game, Royals were tied at 2. First two reach against, or two of the first three reach against Daniel Lynch. It's second and third with one out, and John Schreiber comes in relief to face the right-hander Iglesias. And instead of loading the bases and giving yourself a chance to maybe get out of the inning with a double play or giving yourself a force at home, they opted to pitch to Iglesias. And look, Iglesias is having a miserable season. He had a good series, but I think he was in an 0 for 17 going into Friday, and his season OPS right around 6. Like, he's not a menace by any means. I think if it had been Fernando Tatis Jr. or Manny Machado coming up, I think it would have been a no-brainer that you walk a hitter of that caliber and you take your chances with whoever might be next in the batting order, whether that's Bogarts, Cronenworth, or whoever. But with Iglesias, it's not as cut and dried as, oh, we're scared of this hitter, we're going to walk him. That being said, I don't think it matters who the hitter is. I do think that seeing if you can't get a ground ball, because Schreiber has been somebody who can get you a ground ball. Iglesias is a contact guy. That's his whole thing. He's not going to strike out a lot. He puts the ball in play. I want the double play in order. I want a chance to get out of that inning without the winning run scoring. Iglesias hit a weak ground ball, but he hit it in a spot where Bobby Witt Jr. couldn't make a play to the plate, and that's how the ball game ended. I do think Matt Quatraro got that wrong. Even Steve Stewart calling the game on the Royals Baseball Network. I was picking up dinner at the time last night, so I was listening to the end of the game, and even Steve Stewart sounded surprised that Quatraro's decision from the dugout, and I'm sure he makes this decision in concert with his catcher and with his relief pitcher, but the decision was not to walk Iglesias, and I do think they got that wrong. I do think that's a decision. Of course, hindsight's 20/20, and if Schreiber had struck out Iglesias and gone on to get out of the inning, obviously it's a different deal. Players got to play, players got to execute. But I thought your odds, especially with a punch and Judy hitter like Iglesias, of getting something on the ground were pretty good. And I would have liked to have seen the Royals pursue that course of action in the ninth inning. I don't think it was fatal. I mean, it ended up being fatal, but I don't think it was, I don't think indefensible given who was hitting, but I was still surprised that they chose to pitch to Jose Iglesias. Because again, like it's a different deal if it's a hitter that, strikes out a bunch. And Iglesias has never been in the course of his career a guy who doesn't make contact. Like, he's going to put the bat on the ball, and he put the bat on the ball in that spot and won the ball game. So that's a tough one, tough way for the Royals to lose. Unhappy flight back to KC, but 4-2 road trips, you will take those. The rest of the season, you'll take a whole bunch of 4-2 road trips, even if you don't get to pick the order and you end up with an unhappy flight back home. We'll take a break. Good, bad, ugly from the weekend is next. Matt Berteram's going to join us to talk football. We'll have more Royals to get to as we go along. Some Chiefs, Jawaan Taylor days until Chiefs kickoff, and a whole mess of other stuff on a jam-packed Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being here on WIBW. bad, the ugly from the weekend that was here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan, we'll start with you. What was your good?
I spent some family time with, we talked about it at the start of the show, but yeah, was with my wife and her family and our kid. Yeah, nothing for me to complain about, to be honest with you. I had a pretty good weekend. I didn't watch sports much at all while I was gone until I got home yesterday, and then the Cubs gave up 100 runs and the finals happened. But no, a nice family weekend.
Good to hear that. Spencer Dupuis, what was your good?
Well, my good is that the mail, actually, the thing that I needed in the mail that was supposed to come on Saturday, and I was freaking out because it wasn't even remotely near where it is, came today, and it's my girlfriend's birthday present. Today's her birthday, so
Hey,
happy birthday, Olivia.
Happy birthday to Olivia.
So I was scared her birthday present wasn't going to be here on her birthday.
Hey, right on
But
time.
it was, so that was the good.
That's awesome. That's good. My good, it was my wife's birthday on Saturday.
Happy birthday, Abby.
Happy birthday, Abby.
And my mom is in town this weekend, spend a little time with the grandbaby. And that gave Abby and I an opportunity to go out, have a little date night. Went out for steak and shrimp, and enjoyed a little celebration of my wife and on her birthday. So I was really glad I got to do that. Also, we got to get in the pool. The first pool weekend.
Let's go.
Pool weekend with Ash. It was his first time in our pool, and I think he really liked it. So we got some great pictures of him chilling in the pool. So
what a time to have it too. The hottest time of the year.
yeah, no, it was there are times, I complain about being a pool owner sometimes, but there are times it's a great thing to have, and this weekend definitely one of them. All right, what about a bad, Brendan?
Yeah, my bad. Major League Baseball pitchers, why are you pitching to Cal Raleigh? Mariners played at Wrigley Field with the wind blowing out all weekend. And you know what he did? Went 6 for 12 with 4 home runs. Stop pitching to the man with the large ass. The man they call Big Dumper. Stop throwing to him.
That's the worst nickname in sports. I'm sorry.
My God.
I hate that nickname so much. You had a bad
Dude's
Spencer.
built like a dishwasher.
Yeah, so I was tuning in yesterday a little bit to the Nats game, just following it yesterday. And they were playing the Dodgers. They were up 3-0, and the Dodgers scored 4 in the 6th, and I kind of turned it off. And then they proceeded to score 9 more runs over the next 2 innings. And the Nats somehow scored 4 in the 9th. It was over, though. But, in a span of 20 minutes, the Nats were they were losing by, like, double digits.
My bad is I hate hot and windy. And we got hot and windy this weekend. It's like going outside in a convection oven. Terrible weather. You have an ugly, Brendan.
Yeah, man. Tyrese Halliburton. It sucks, man. OKC, the way Indiana played in the second half last night, oh my Lord, that was awful. But they might have won anyway, and it might not have made a difference. It would have been a more fun second half, certainly, but you just feel awful. He's on the floor pounding his fist, saying no, no, no.
It felt like a replay we were not meant to see. Like the reaction, how he reacted to it on a human level felt like something we should not have seen. And that was hard to watch. About as heartbreaking a replay. And an injury in context, as you can imagine.
I saw someone say this on Blue Sky last night, and it seems extreme, but it's probably true. If NBA teams have a player, especially a guard with a calf injury, you need to put them on the IL. Like, you need to bench those dudes. And I know it's the finals, and I know Halliburton wanted to play through it. As soon as he had that calf injury earlier in the series, it was a time bomb.
Do you have
just feel bad?
Do you have an ugly, Spencer?
Yeah, I do. So Olivia's friends are in town for the next couple of days. We're going to a Royals game tomorrow, but they flew in yesterday morning. Their flight got here around 8:30. We left Topeka around 7:15, 7:30. We're like, oh yeah, we'll be back probably around 10. Had some chicken in the crock pot for some buffalo chicken dip. Turns out my girlfriend's friend's husband, they forced his carry-on to go in the luggage area because it was apparently too big, even though it's not very big, as we saw it yesterday. And it got stuck in Chicago. So Topeka to MCI is about an hour, 10 minutes. And didn't really want to do that again because it was coming on a plane from Chicago that was arriving at 1 o'clock. So our masquerade to MCI that we thought we were getting back at 10 a.m. didn't get back till like 3 p.m.
But your house did not burn down with
That's
the crock pot
true,
on, so
because
that's a
the
big win.
crock pot has the keep warm feature.
Nice.
Yeah, that's crucial. Yeah, you don't want to burn the house down. Yeah, the Halliburton injury is my ugly too. We'll get to that more in the playoff roundup coming up later in the show. Right now, we'll take a timeout, come back, talk to Matt Verderam, our NFL insider, next on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk by our NFL insider, Matt Verderam. Covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show, the KC Sports Network, and has his own subscriber-only Patreon, the Matt Verderam Show, with all kinds of great nuggets and insider info. Joins us every Monday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, minicamp is in the books, and the big news coming out of Chiefs minicamp is that their first-round pick, Josh Simmons, is going to be a full go, according to head coach Andy Reid, for training camp. I'm trying to think of the way to ask this question in the most interesting way. So here goes. Do you think the Chiefs want Josh Simmons to be their left tackle for week one?
I think that if they had their druthers, he would be the starting left tackle. I don't think it is paramount to them. I think if he plays well in camp and Jalen Moore just is exceptional, like they're not obviously going to be upset about that. But if Simmons plays really well, he's going to start. Like I've already seen some people talk about, well, will he actually start, or are they going to slow play this? Listen, I'm not Andy Reid. I do not think that's going to be the case. If they feel like he's ready to go, then I feel like he's ready to go. I think it's about a 50-50 whether or not he starts. I really do. I think it's a coin flip, which is a miracle considering he got hurt in October last year. It wasn't like he got hurt in July or August. He got hurt in October. This is basically 9 months out as far as when training camp starts to him getting on the field. That is an incredible recovery from a torn patella, especially for a man of his size. So I don't think the Chiefs are going to push him farther than he can go by any means. But, yeah, I think if all things were equal, yeah, they'd love for him to line up week one.
What does that mean for Jalen Moore? Do you think he maybe gets a look at right tackle in some situations in camp? And does he have an opportunity to maybe supplant Jawaan Taylor, who has had his moments, but has also been one of the most penalized offensive linemen in the NFL the last 2 years.
I really think that's going to be the question of St. Joe. Jawaan Taylor is essentially on a one-year deal right now. Yes, he signed technically for 2 more years, including this season. If they cut him after this year, they save $20 million. I mean, Jawaan Taylor's going to have to play like Willie Rove for them not to cut him. Which opens the door for a lot of interesting scenarios. Like, let's say we're sitting here on, I'll pick a date, August 25th, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Brett Veach are sitting there talking, and it is apparent that their 2 best tackles are Simmons and Moore. What do you do? Andy is slow to change, but at some point here, if Mahomes says, "Hey, look, they're the 2 best tackles on this team; they should be playing," what decision do you make? Now the hard part of that is neither one of these guys have ever played a snap in this offense. Simmons has never played a professional snap, and Moore has started 12 games in his career. It is a massive leap of faith to just say, "Hey, we're starting both these guys," because let's be real. They thought Kingsley Suamataia was ready coming out of camp, and he wasn't. It was a disaster playing him a tackle last season. So I don't think that they would start those 2 guys, barring an injury to Taylor right off the bat. I do wonder as the season wears on, if Taylor doesn't play well, if they would do it. And if one of them plays at right tackle, would it be Simmons? Moore has no experience at right tackle. Simmons played right tackle at San Diego State. But do you want to move your first-round pick back and forth? I mean, that's kind of the question here. I really do think, though, this is a 3-way battle for 2 spots. I think Taylor is a very likely bet to start week 1, but what does the line look like week 10? I don't know that what it looks like week 1 is necessarily going to be what it looks like down the stretch, even for everybody's healthy.
Matt Verderam is our guest. He joins us every Monday at this time as we go around the NFL. You can find Matt's work at Sports Illustrated and SI.com, that football show at the KC Sports Network, and also the Matt Verderam show on Patreon. He joins us here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. One more question about the Chiefs, man. I'm trying to be careful about how I word this so it makes sense. Obviously, Rashee Rice is not the best wide receiver in the NFL. I think there's plenty who are above him, although he is a good player. But is there any number 1 receiver in the league that is more crucial to his team's offensive identity and success than Rashee Rice? Like if the Bengals lose Jamar Chase, obviously that sucks. But T. Higgins is almost the number 1 himself. They've still got Burrow. Like, that offense is going to keep going. The Vikings, same thing. Justin Jefferson's incredible. Jordan Addison's really good. Hawkinson's good. They've got these other pieces. The Chiefs, I feel like they have to completely change everything they want to do in the passing game if Rashee Rice isn't the Rice we're expecting this year.
It's an interesting question. Your point's well taken. I think there are a few guys you could sit there and say this guy or that guy. I mean, CeeDee Lamb with Dallas, or
that's a good one.
Somebody like that. DK Metcalf with Pittsburgh this year. I mean, there are some where the Chiefs would still have Worthy and some other guys. But look, the point's well taken. If they don't have Rice, they cannot be who they want to be. There's no arguing that. They're not the same offense. He changes the way they can play because he is such a threat in the short and intermediate areas of the field. I mean, he just, look, for what feels like a decade, almost was a decade, Kelsey was always that guy. 3rd and 7, you knew the ball's going there. And it almost didn't matter. Like, teams knew, it felt like every week you turn on like an NFL Live type of show, and you watch something about the Chiefs, and you hear somebody go, well, they got to stop Kelsey. And then you just go out there and have 12 catches for like $110. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You knew you had to stop. It makes no difference. Rice was like that at the early part of last year. You knew the ball was going there.
Yeah.
And it just made no difference. He just destroyed whoever he was playing against anyway. And because of the other weapons that they do have, it's very hard to double him. It's very hard. Look, they need him to be there. They need him to be the guy. Last year they went into the season with the idea that he was going to be the guy, and Kelsey was probably going to be that number 2. I'd argue this year, if everybody's healthy, Kelsey might be the number 3. But they need Rice to be that number 1 guy. And I think he's clearly capable of doing it. But he's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay on the field. If he does, it's an offense that could be really, really good. But yes, he is going to be the key cog in that end.
Elsewhere around the league, we don't get a lot of quarterback competitions during training camp anymore. We had Wilson versus Fields in Pittsburgh last year, and that was, kind of whatever. We sort of knew what Pittsburgh was going to be one way or the other. Well, this year we've got one in the AFC South, and it is awful. Like, this is such a battle of crap versus crap, Matt, and I know that's mean about two pro athletes. Like, Anthony Richardson has a gigantic arm and has no idea where the ball is going ever. Meanwhile, Daniel Jones sucks. Like, I get he was in New York, and people want to make him a big deal because he was in New York. That dude sucks. He's not a good NFL quarterback. Like, what is the path forward for the Colts? No matter who ends up winning that job, what is their path forward? Because I don't know if there's any other team in the league that is as lost in the wilderness right now as that team is.
Well, the important thing is you have a strong take on Daniel Jones, which I can appreciate as a New Yorker who knows many Giants fans who are still in deep pain. Listen, I got to tell you, though, I might be wrong with this. I'm going to go to Colts camp this summer. I'll spend time there. I don't even think it's going to be a competition. I think Jones is flat going to start.
Wow.
I don't. I really do. Knowing what I know about Shane Steichen, look, if you're him, you're looking at your history and you're looking at your offense, is your current day offense, and you're saying, I need a few things here. I know I can run the ball. I know I've got a couple of legitimate receivers, legitimate weapons. And plus, they add the new tight end here, and Tyler Warren. We'll see what he is. They add him as first-round pick. If I'm Shane Steichen, especially with the way that offense functions, I'm saying to myself, I need a guy who can complete passes, who gives me a little bit of mobility, which Jones does, and who can just simply be a point guard in the offense. And look, I'm with you. Okay, Daniel Jones is not good. Daniel Jones is a backup quarterback. But you know who else is backup quarterback? The current backup in Kansas City, Gardner Minshew, who was a whisper away from winning 9 games and the Colts winning the division a couple of years ago. Like, Steichen's looking at Jones and saying, that guy is a 65% career passer. I can roll him out. I can get some yards with his legs. I can play a little RPO game with him. I can get him to be Walmart Alex Smith. Like, just efficient. He doesn't scare you. But like, if you look at Jones, there's 3 things in his career that are going to be really appealing to Steichen. He does not throw picks. He's got good wheels. And he's accurate. And at this point with Richardson, I mean, listen, I'm not looking to denigrate him or anything, but let's just call it what it is. He has been awful. He's completing, last year he completed 47% of his passes. Do you know how possible that is in today's NFL? 47%. And I don't care what anybody says. I have stood in a lot of locker rooms. I have talked to a lot of players in my career. The second that guy yanked himself out of a game, he was tired. It's over. Like, I don't care. Players, coaches are all going to say the right things to the media. Guys behind closed doors are going to say, are you kidding me? I'm playing with this injury, that injury. I'm dealing with this. That guy's going to yank himself out of the game because he's tired. I mean, there's no coming back from that, in my opinion.
Yeah, when you've got passing numbers that look like 1965 Milt Plum, I don't know how long you are for the NFL.
Not good.
Sticking with that division, this is a lot of AFC South talk. I've been working on a take about who I think is going to win this division. And I know that Houston is going to be the pick for almost everyone, and deservedly so. Stroud, I really like D'Amico Ryans. Love their defense. I get it. How crazy am I if I think Jacksonville can win the division? Last year was terrible. Trevor, I've never been a big Trevor guy, Matt, even back to his college days. I thought he was bailed out a lot by his receivers. But I like Liam Cohen a lot. They've got 2 receivers who could be great together in Travis Hunter and obviously Brian Thomas Jr. Am I insane for thinking the Jags could win that division?
No, you're not. Look, Tennessee, obviously, this is the first year of what they hope is a long, successful campaign with Ward, but it's the first year. The Colts, I think, based on your thoughts in the last question, and I know mine, I think there's just a cap on what they can be. Like, they just don't have the quarterback play. Houston is a weird team in this. Going into last year, I really looked at Houston. And I thought, alongside Buffalo, they were the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the conference. And then you watch that thing develop, and you're like, yeah, they can't block anybody. And then this offseason, it was almost like they decided to see how bad they could make that offensive line. I think Houston is the favorite, and deservedly so, because of Stroud, because of the defense. But boy, that offense is – Stroud's going to have a hard time. And I am a huge CJ Stroud fan. That offense just can't function. I mean, if Collins gets taken out of the game with a double team or whatever, it's over. I don't know where you're going with football. Jacksonville, look, I think on the surface they got rid of a lot of veteran names, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, guys like that. People recognize those names. Those guys were doing nothing there but eating salary. And I'm with you. Like, I'm not a huge Trevor Lawrence guy. I'm not. I think, when you watch him, he'll make 3 or 4 throws in the game that are amazing, and he'll miss 5 throws. Like, how did he miss that throw? The guy's wide open, 8 feet in front of him. The ball just sails over his head. But Cohen is a good coach. I think Tony Baselli in the building, like he's working with Gladstone there in that front office. He's a really sharp guy. And Gladstone has some good ideas. I don't know that I'd pick them, but I do think, 9-8 might win that division. And I do think they're capable of going something like 9-8.
Last one for Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, Jair Alexander, as was kind of expected, ends up in Baltimore with the Ravens, joining his old college teammate, Lamar Jackson. How much does Alexander, at this stage in his career, elevate that Baltimore secondary?
It's a hard one to answer. Like, if he's fully healthy, then, yeah, they're better. The problem is he's never healthy. Like, I've had a handful of people ask me this already this week, like, well, what does it mean? And it's well, there's a reason he was a free agent. The Packers cut him because they're just done with it. He's always hurt, and I think they got to a point where they're like, look, it's not, the juices aren't squeezed anymore. It's not. I think he's obviously very talented, and yes, there's a world that he makes them better, and all of a sudden it's meaningful. But I'll be honest with you, I don't. It doesn't move the needle for me. Like, their secondary was already good. They already have guys like Humphrey and Hamilton, and of course they drafted Wiggins last year, and they drafted Starks this year. It doesn't hurt. I'm not against the move for Baltimore. It's a why not kind of a move, but it's just based on how often he doesn't play. And you wonder too, like, when he plays, is he the same guy? Like, it's fine. It's not a bad move, but it doesn't make me look at them any differently.
Check out Matt Verderame's coverage of the National Football League at SportsIllustrated.si.com. You can hear him on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network. You can subscribe to his subscribers-only Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show, and you can hear him every Monday right here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We will step aside for a timeout, come back, and wrap up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, joining us on this Monday.
I made the comment about quarterback competition. It's true. Like, when was the last time we had like a real high profile? A playoff team might hinge on their quarterback battle. It's been a while.
Man, the Drew Lock Teddy Bridgewater battle in Denver was generational.
Andrew reminded me that the Browns also exist this year.
Oh my God.
Flacco, Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. That's horrifying. Every time I see those names all clumped together, I think, wow, an NFL team is at this point.
Wherever Shedeur Sanders ends up on the depth chart, he's going to get there in a hurry.
Even his brother was like, yeah, got to be careful in those crosswalks in Tampa if Shedeur's around.
That's
not funny.
No.
He was driving 100.
His brother also had to file for bankruptcy during his college years. So a bit of pot calling the kettle black there. The best line I saw about the whole Shedeur Sanders thing, by the way, he got pulled over for doing 100 and a 60 or whatever it was.
Which is like the second time in the matter of months.
Yeah. Somebody said that's nothing. Last month, he went 144 when he was supposed to have gone 25.
I saw that one too.
Reference to his draft position. That was an all-timer. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to talk more about that Chiefs tackle situation because it is 74 days until Chiefs kickoff. And number 74 for the Chiefs is Jawaan Taylor. Is he good enough at right tackle, or might he be usurped potentially in training camp? Plus, our first round for the week of What Is Wrong With You, and a look at the Royals bullpen mix. Does Q need to make some changes? We'll discuss it coming up in the next hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. If you're just joining us, welcome in. If you've been rocking with us, thanks for being here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, you're choosing to hang out with us today, we're just glad you're choosing to hang out with us today. Thanks for being here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you. Brendan Dworzinski will be back in a bit. We got 2 more hours today. No Royals baseball tonight. Homestand begins tomorrow. 3 games with the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm wearing a Rays hat today. You can see on my on the YouTube stream. That was not intentional on my part. I'm wearing a pretty yellow shirt. Again, we can see it in the YouTube stream. I'm wearing a Wyoming Cowboys football shirt. Yes. I don't have a lot of hats that go with yellow, right? Like, and I like to try to coordinate. Like, I don't have a Wyoming hat. I have a hat for every team I got a shirt for.
Maybe you should do that.
Maybe I should. Maybe that's my next step, is start coordinating, get a shirt for every hat and a hat for every shirt. But at some point, I have to feed my family and my 1-year-old, and he's eating a lot. So I don't know if I can get caught up quickly enough. So anyway, I put on this shirt. I chose a shirt before I chose a hat, and I was trying to think what hat to grab. I said, well, yeah, this purple will go with it. Sure. There's like Technicolor it's the old school, like TB, old Devil Rays logo. I did not pick it intentionally, knowing that, forgetting at the time that's who the Royals played next. So I will not be wearing any apparel. I will not be wearing the Rays hat for the next 3 days. Let's say that. I'm going to sideline this hat for the next 3 days when the Rays come to town.
I'm going to the game tomorrow night. How many Rays fans do you think are going to be in Kansas City?
I don't know that they travel great.
I don't either.
I don't think that there's a lot of like Florida transplants or Tampa area transplants milling about Kansas City. You'll get a handful, like you probably more than you think, but it's not going to be a takeover. That's for sure. Andrew said I could have gone with an LSU hat. Now I have an LSU shirt, but I do not. I used to have an LSU hat. I might still have it. It's probably too small for me. My head size grew. I didn't know that it would do that, but I've actually gone up a hat size. My fitteds have all gone up to 7.25 or 7.5 now. I used to be 7 3/8. I went up to 7.5. It's all the knowledge I've accumulated in my life. I've gotten smarter. Yeah. So my head size got. That's what happened to Barry Bonds. That was smart. That wasn't HGH. So I cycled through a bunch of hats, but I did. I had an LSU cap back in the day. Mark said I could have gone with a green hat. That's true. I do have some green hats. I could have gone with my Hartford Yard Goats hat or my old Oakland A's hat. Mark is correct on that.
I'm gonna have to buy you a Marshall hat.
You know what? I would wear it. I would wear it. I'm a 7.25, or you know, I guess if it's a 47 brand, I'm an XL.
Okay.
I was stunned to discover that I have what is considered, like, you know, they call them dad hats, right? Like the more slouch fit, fitted hat, like 47 brand does a lot of those. There's other companies that do them. 47 brands. I have got a handful of 47 brand hats, but I'm a extra large in their sizing, which I don't feel like I got an extra large head, but apparently I do.
So I've gone through my life, speaking of hats, thinking that like you break the snapback of a hat, like you're donezo. No, you can replace those.
Really?
Yeah, because I
needle and thread, or
what?
You needle and thread? You sew them back?
You take a thing and you pull it. Apparently, they're just like slit into a little spot and sewn over. So I bought a hat, a Marshall hat on eBay, a sick retro. Got the bison on the hat.
Sure.
And I was so excited to wear it, and I get it, and it's literally a retro hat. Like it's probably from the 70s or 80s or something. And it was dry. The snapback was dry rotted, and the minute I changed it to my head size, it snapped and broke.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I was really mad, and I was like, "Is there anything I can do?" No, it turns out you can, in fact, buy replacements.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they showed up today. So let's see if Spencer can sew.
I'm not a snapback guy. I know that those are popular. I even like some of the designs, but I like my hat to be closed at the back. I don't know why that is. I don't know why I'm so rigid on this. There have been some snapbacks that I've really, really wanted to buy, but I've kind of held myself to like, nah, man, it's got to fit my head, or I'm not going to wear it. So I don't intend to be a snob, but I guess I kind of am. I don't know. I need to probably get off that at some point, because
I don't know. I hate the enclosed backs because if I let my hair grow, my hair's pretty thick. So then hats don't fit right if I don't have a haircut.
That's valid. That's a good point. The snapback gives you a variety of sizing options.
I will go like in an ever time. I will if I haven't gotten a haircut in like a month and a half or 2 months.
You gotta ease a button off or two.
Yeah, we'll ease a button, and then I just get my hair cut. It goes back one.
That is never anything I had considered. But I do have this is a 7.25, this raised snapback that I have, but it is a tighter fit than some of my other 7.25 snapbacks. They don't all, or 7.5.
Yeah.
They don't all fit the exact same. So this one is probably one I wouldn't want to wear when I'm in need of a haircut. So,
well, that's been 588 hat talk.
Yes, no. Hey, listen, not the first time, won't be the last. But I just want the people to know this is not an endorsement of the Royals' opponent the next 3 days. You won't see this after the next 3 days on the stream. I can promise you that. But yeah, big week ahead for the Royals, but they are off today, coming back to Kansas City after the 4-2 road trip that they just concluded. Cameron mentions the Richardson brand snapback hats. I'm not familiar with those.
I think I've had a Richardson hat. I don't know.
But Cameron's with me. It comes from being I think a baseball player, and that's what you wear. You wear the fitted cap when you play ball, and so that's just what I've always been used to wearing. It took me a long time to give in on the dad hats, the slouch fit. It took me a long time, but you know what? They are great. They are so great. Like I can wear them mowing the lawn.
Are you talking about the ones with the big bend?
Yes, a lot of them come with a really big bend. I kind of have to work that out a little bit on some of them, and then I wear them I'll wear them on the stream, and you won't be able to see my eyes. I got a couple of them that have a really severe bend in them. Like I got a Seahawks one that's got a really severe bend in it. That you gotta work it out a little bit. I'm much closer. I just like a slight curve. I can't do like the full on flat bill. I need a slight curve.
I feel like that's changed in Major League Baseball since like early 2000s to now.
Yeah, the fashion kind of ebbs and flows, because there was a while there a lot of guys were coming up and they wanted that like Fernando
Straight
Rodney
curve,
straight arrow, like no curve at all. And now you got more guys getting that little slight curve.
But I feel like there was a
it.
while where it was really curved. Like there would be a bunch of players that would wear hats like this.
I can't come up with one off the top of my head, but like I know, yeah, you every now and again you would see that look.
Yeah.
Like also back in like the 40s, like they all look like burritos. They all were in very, 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 very tight curves. Anyhow, these are the kinds of things you maybe can follow better if you're watching on the YouTube stream. You know exactly what kind of hats we're wearing. Again, our YouTube stream is 580 Sports Talk. Hello to everybody in the chat today. Appreciate you being along. If you are in the YouTube, watching on the YouTube but not in the chat, get in the chat. It's a friendly spot. Everybody's happy, and it's a great way to interact with your fellow listeners and with your host. You can also text the show, 785-272-9429. A texter from the 785 points out, Spencer, Rays fans don't travel for home games. Why are they going to travel for road games?
That's true.
It's a good point. They're red hot. I'll tell you, if there's a time to want to go and see your team in person, be right now. Or nobody's been hotter in the American League than the Rays the last couple of weeks. So Royals have to try and slow them down in their pursuit of playoff positioning. But that's for later. And we'll get to more Royals baseball later on this hour. I want to talk about their bullpen mix because the bullpen was not real good this weekend. It was really good in the Texas series, but gagged away a 4-0 lead on Friday, gagged away a 2-0 lead yesterday, and Taylor Clark gave up the 3-run home run that put the game on ice on Saturday. So not a great weekend for the bullpen. So as we get near the halfway point, and by the way, if you did not know, following the Rays series, we will have reached officially the halfway point. The Thursday's finale is game 81. So we're right at about the midway point, the halfway juncture of this 2025 season. Where does the Royals bullpen stand, and how might Matt Quatraro want to consider deploying his resources a little differently out of the bullpen. But I did want to start continuing our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We've been doing this every day. We are now 74 days away from the season opener for the Kansas City Chiefs, Friday, September 5th in Brazil against the Los Angeles Chargers. You'll be able to hear that game that'll probably be on our sister station. That'll probably be on the big 94.5 country because we'll have Royals baseball that night. But you get the idea. We're going to have all the Chiefs games for you on WIBW or WIBW FM.
It's going to be a busy night that night.
Yeah, so it'll be high school football over on 106.9.
Yeah.
That's week 1 of the high school football season. Thanks a lot, NFL, for deciding that you needed that first Friday night, which is always high school football season. Thanks a lot, NFL, for deciding that you needed to have Friday in addition to already having the Thursday night kickoff and, of course, a full slate Sunday and, of course, a Monday night football game. And all those are big deals. But no, now we're going to send a game to Brazil every year on that first Friday night and wipe out high school football for people. Yeah, love that. Love that Roger Goodell's done that. Anyway, 74 days. And number 74 for the Kansas City Chiefs is Jawaan Taylor, who enters his third year with the Chiefs and is the incumbent starter at right tackle. Gut answer to this question, Spencer. Is Jawaan Taylor a good enough starter at right tackle? Just what does your gut tell you on that? Before we look at the data, before we dig into the numbers, PFF grades, anything like that, do you feel like a team starting Jawaan Taylor at right tackle has a settled right tackle situation?
No.
Okay, that's what your gut's telling you.
Yeah.
Why is your gut telling you no? What is the thing? Again, we'll get to the data. We'll get to some of the numbers here. But what is it about Taylor? Is it a trust thing? Is it penalties?
I think it's the whole encompassment of last season.
Okay.
And the Chiefs are in a precarious situation right through this next season, obviously, where they have the out after the 2025-26 season.
Right.
So I think for them, I think you got to see how things go in training camp. But my gut feeling says I think there's a better option on the roster.
We'll get there. So Jawaan Taylor last year, and Pro Football Focus, they do their grades and they do the legwork on this. They don't pull these numbers from nowhere. But at the same time, there's only but so much you can put into Pro Football Focus grades because they are grading by what they think the assignment ought to be for a player on a certain down, and they might be wrong. Pro Football Focus doesn't necessarily know what the assignment is or what the responsibility is for a player on a given play. They're kind of guessing, and they're good at guessing. These numbers aren't totally bogus, but they are not the be-all, end-all either. They're a resource, and just like any other statistic is a resource that is a subjective number, you take it with however many grains of salt you want to give it. But last year, Pro Football Focus said Jawaan Taylor was the 82nd best tackle in the National Football League. 140 tackles, played enough snaps to earn a PFF grade, and Jawaan Taylor's grade was 59.9 out of 100. I made him the 82nd best tackle in the NFL. Now, do some math with me, Spencer. 32 NFL teams, 2 starting tackle spots per. That's how many starting tackles in the NFL?
64.
64. So 82nd best would be not starting caliber then?
Yeah.
If you would say the top 64 should be starters, then
yeah.
82nd is outside of starter caliber. Also, if there are 140 tackles, that would mean the right down the middle would be number 70, and 82 is greater than 70.
Yeah.
So, yes, slightly below average grade for Jawaan Taylor, a non-starter, not a starter grade at left tackle last year. Now, his pass blocking grade was his best grade. He ranked 48th out of 140 tackles when it comes to pass blocking, but his run block grade was where he really took a hit. He was the 95th best tackle. This is left tackles and right tackles and swing guys. You get up to 140. 95th out of 140 tackles in run block grade. So that's PFF's perspective. That Taylor's play last year was below average and not starter caliber. I think when people talk about Jawaan Taylor, they start with the penalties. And they start with the penalties because that's where his Chiefs career started, right? With Chris Collinsworth basically picking on him relentlessly during the Lions game 2 seasons ago, to the point where he was targeted for some illegal formation and false start penalties throughout the 2023 campaign. But all told, Taylor's been whistled for 41 penalties the last 2 seasons. 22 in 2023, 19 last year, 41 total. 5 of them were declined. 1 of them was an offsetting penalty. So 35 enforced penalties in 2 years. 16 of those 41 penalties were false starts. 5 of them were other pre-snap penalties, illegal shift, illegal formation. 20 in-play penalties assigned to Jawaan Taylor over the course of 2 years. Now, I actually went back and looked, and last season, like, you think of penalties as drive killers, like holding penalties, drive killer, first down, false start, you put your team up against it. Jawaan Taylor didn't have a lot of those, like, drive-killing, early drive penalties. He had some costly ones. He had that 4th and 1 holding penalty that negated a Chiefs conversion against Pittsburgh and forced them to kick a field goal in the Christmas Day game. But not a lot of, like, 1st and 10 drive wrecker penalties for Jawaan Taylor. But 41 penalties in 2 years is a lot.
Yeah.
And we've been sitting here talking about Taylor for this entire offseason and really for the better part of last year, when we take the long view of what the Chiefs offensive line is going to be, like, okay, Creed Humphrey's got his deal, and Trey Smith is going to get his deal, and Jawaan Taylor is on that 4-year deal, and he's not going to see the end of that deal. Like, we were talking about that last year, during last season, like it was a fait accompli. Like, he's not going to see year 4 of that deal. Chiefs are going to walk away from that. Unless, as our NFL insider, Matt Berneram, put it in the last hour, if he plays like Willie Roaf this next year, they're going to pick up that 4th year, no problem. But this is, for all intents and purposes, Jawaan Taylor's last year with the Kansas City Chiefs, unless he absolutely balls out to the point where the $20 million a year that he would be on for the 4th year of the deal would feel like a bargain or fair market value for his caliber of play.
Yeah.
The wrinkle now for the Chiefs is that they are going to go into this season with Josh Simmons having a full training camp. And I do not think that was even considered a possibility when they drafted him. Even if they liked the medicals, the medical information that they got, I cannot imagine the Chiefs thought for certain we're going to get a full training camp from Josh Simmons, but they are. And so now he's going to be in the mix to potentially play week 1 at left tackle. And then where does that leave Jalen Moore, who we talked about last week? He came up on our countdown on Friday. Jalen Moore was given starter money this season and what is effectively an option for next year. We went through the numbers, but just suffice it to say that the 2026 salary cap hit for Jalen Moore is close to $19 million. But if he is cut, that cap hit, dead cap, drops to about $11 million. So the Chiefs can walk away from Jalen Moore with minimal pain after 1 year if, in fact, he doesn't see the field. But what if he does see the field? And what if it's not necessarily at left tackle? What if the Chiefs start giving Jalen Moore some looks at right tackle? Because I do think that you can very credibly make the argument that Jawaan Taylor at right tackle is a player that you can upgrade upon. But Jalen Moore comes in with most of his experience having been on the left side. And it is not as simple as just kicking from from left to right, and it's an easy transition for a guy. So on the one hand, I don't know that Jalen Moore can just be assumed that he's going to make that transition. But on the other hand, I'm thinking he's going to get at least a chance, because if he's not a starter, he has to be your swing tackle. Yeah. You have to have a better option at swing tackle this season than Wanye Morris, and Jalen Moore should at least be that. At a bare minimum, should at least be a much better insurance policy at tackle, particularly left tackle, if he does not win the job outright, than what the Chiefs had last year. But do they give him a chance to start at right tackle? Because they always believed Jawaan Taylor could be versatile. When he was signed, there was a thought that he was going to be the left tackle when he was brought in. And of course, he never ended up playing left tackle for the Chiefs. He's been entrenched as the right tackle. But they talked about moving him. And again, it's not easy to make that move from one side of the line to the other. It's like being right-handed and then having to do everything left-handed all of a sudden. That's the transition. It's not an easy one to make. But the Chiefs had enough belief that Taylor could do it, that there were serious discussions about moving him across the line when he was signed as a free agent. So if they think that he could handle being the swing tackle, and they think Jalen Moore can handle being the swing tackle, and Joshua Simmons was drafted to be the left tackle of the future, what that tells me is that the competition in this training camp may not just be on the left side. Competition might be on the right side. And the other factor that I think is interesting with Jawaan Taylor is that this year is essentially a contract year for him. Contract year is undefeated, right? We lots of great examples in Chiefs and NFL history of guys balling out of the contract year. This is a contract year for Jawaan Taylor. And now there is real competition. I do not believe he right now thinks he is the nailed on, no doubt, no competition. I'm going to be the guy week one at right tackle. I don't know that he can necessarily feel that way with Josh Simmons getting the clean bill of health. So I will be interested to see how that unfolds, but I will also be interested to see if indeed that effective contract year for Jawaan Taylor plays a role in what we get out of him, because there have been moments I don't think he has been awful, but the penalties have been a lot, and he wasn't very good as a run blocker last year, though run blocking is a little bit more contextual. Pass blocking, you either win your matchup or you don't. Run blocking, I trust the pass blocking numbers a little bit more when it comes to a PFF grade than the run blocking numbers, because I would trust that PFF could correctly suss out the assignment on a pass play more often than they could do it on a run play. So take that however you want it, but I do think that I'm not sold that just because he was terrible according to the grade as a run blocker last year, that he necessarily is going to be terrible as a run blocker in 2025. And he better not be, because this might be his last chance for a big payday, whether it's just the Chiefs keeping him around for one more year or him getting some big free agent bucks elsewhere. We'll take a timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, it's our first What is Wrong with You of a new week here on 580 WIBW. What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk is brought to us by our buddy Mo, State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. Mo knows insurance and financial services, and he wants to help you. So give him a call. 785-273-1572 is his number. That is our sponsor for What is Wrong with You. New week, 2 new stories. They're both from Florida. I will go first. We meet 34-year-old Jessica Reno in Flagler County, Florida, who stands accused of myriad crimes, including smuggling a controlled substance and possession of fentanyl and smuggling it inside her person. And not in a way you and I could do that, Spencer.
All right, then.
On June 15th, Reno was pulled over for a mismatched license plate. What do we always say, Spence? Don't commit a crime when you're in the act of doing another crime.
Doing another crime.
Allegedly assigned to a Ford car, but affixed to the defendant's Chevy pickup truck. And the driver's side seatbelt was dangling near the door. A deputy wrote that such a seatbelt is consistent with the driver not properly wearing their seatbelt. The traffic stop ensued. But the deputy said Reno seemed to be taking her time. Upon activating the emergency lights, the vehicle tapped on its brakes several times, but continued to proceed without stopping for approximately 30 seconds. Upon making contact with the driver, she stated she was on the phone and was talking to her daughter, which is why she did not immediately pull over. I then inquired if the female was the registered owner of the vehicle. She said yes. While attempting to get the operator's driver's license, she stated she didn't have one, that she had an upcoming court date regarding the suspension of her driver's license. The traffic cop confirmed the license plate was on the wrong vehicle, that Reno was driving with a lapsed registration and without insurance. When asked about the seatbelt, the defendant apologized for being, quote, in a rush. She admitted she was aware of her suspended license, had an upcoming court date, also said she used her friend's license plate after her own license plate blew off of her truck approximately 6 days prior to the traffic stop, a likely story. Upon placing Jessica under arrest for all of that, a female deputy was requested to perform a search incident to arrest. During that time, it was explained to Jessica that if she had any other contraband on or inside her person, she would face additional criminal charges. Jessica stated that she did not. So then she was booked into the local jail, and that's when they found the drugs. It was a black sock full of drugs tucked inside of her. Again, not anywhere you and I could tuck it in, Spencer. Unique to her. Within the black socks, deputies located 6 capped syringes. What the hell am I talking about? Syringes and a bag of a white powdery substance. Jessica stated the substance was fentanyl. She posted $11,500 bond on Thursday.
Ugh.
So a lot going on there, but yeah, man. I would be super, super careful with syringes and fentanyl inside of me.
Yeah.
I might even wear a seatbelt if I had that going on. Anyway, that's my story today. What do you got, Spencer?
Yes, we are going to South Florida. This one is an interesting one. And we go to Boca Raton. After a business dispute, a Miami man is accused of kidnapping his ex-partner at a Boca Raton Lifetime Fitness and stealing $30K guns and a Rolex. According to the Boca Raton Police Department, on June 9th, 39-year-old Alberto Ituri used a taser to subdue his business partner, forcing him into the truck at gunpoint and demanding ransom money. The next day, the victim gave a sworn statement to police describing years of financial dealings with Ituri, a longtime high school friend, using the business victim's mother's funds. Officers say the trio launched a pawn shop, a firearms business, and more recently, real estate ventures. The victim told police that after noticing a lack of transparency in the real estate deal, which closed in January, he and his mother took back $140K and cut ties with Ituri, prompting an angry fallout. According to a probable cause affidavit, he spiraled into debt, maxed out credit cards, and began borrowing from family. In April, the victim said Ituri showed up to his Fort Lauderdale, workplace, acting erratically and yelling. After being asked to leave, the victim believed Ituri began plotting to harm him.
And so he did.
Yeah.
He tased him, kidnapped him and made him take him to a safe in his home or his mother's home.
Yes, he called his mother and asked her to wire $50,000 for a business transaction, leaving out the fact that he had been kidnapped. When the bank wasn't open, the victim suggested they drive through Starbucks in Deerfield Beach because he knew they had cameras.
Smart.
Yeah. During his time, Ituri reportedly told the victim he had attached a tracker to his car and had been surveying him and his family.
He did the most.
Yeah. Detectives say they confirmed the victim's statement with the lifetime surveillance footage in the Starbucks employee's testimony, confirming the vehicle as a pickup truck which belonged to Ituri's father. The tracking device found under the victim's Tesla, photos of the victim's cuts and lacerations and bloodstained clothing were placed in evidence. Based on evidence, police found probable cause to book Alberto Ituri with armed kidnapping, robbery with a firearm, aggravated battery, grand theft of firearms, grand theft of over $20,000, and tampering with a witness. So bad guy.
Yeah, bad guy.
Bad guy.
Does that beat the woman with the secret stash?
I don't know. They're two different kind of stories.
They are.
We got a dummy trying to bring drugs in her
kidnapping is a pretty straightforward story. This woman was smuggling drugs inside of herself.
That's true.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah. That's going to be the secret stash is going to win today on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Give him a shout, 785-273-1572. When we come back, we'll talk about the Royals and their bullpen mix and whether or not it needs to be shaken up after a rough weekend for the pen here on 580 Sports Talk. .440 on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan's back.
What's up?
Good to have you. Gang's all here for a little bit, and then Spencer's going to check out for the final hour.
Yeah, it's what's the word?
Sliding doors.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the sliding doors thing on today's episode of 580 Sports Talk. Royals lost the series to the Padres, and we're kind of fortunate not to be swept given the performance of their bullpen, which, again, like you said at the very top of the show, Brendan, relievers, bullpen performances, they're volatile. And so you don't want to overreact to small sample sizes and completely juggle the bullpen mix after 3 games, especially given that the Royals bullpen was nails in the Texas series. They were really, really good in that series. But on Friday, Angel Zerpa and Lucas Erceg combined to cough up a 4-1 lead. And on Saturday, Taylor Clark gave up a very long home run that put the game on ice in the 7th inning. And he has not been very good in some time. And then the 2-0 lead that got away, again, Zerpa and Erceg, and then Lynch and Schreiber combining to give up the game-losing run in the 9th. So as the Royals bullpen stands right now, you have Carlos Estevez at the back end, and he leads the American League in saves. He might be an all-star. Leads the American League in saves.
Should be.
You feel good about the 9th inning. And like I talk about strikeout rates with relievers all the time. Estevez is very pedestrian for a reliever. Estevez?
Estevez is.
It's a lot of Z's and S's.
There's a beehive in the studio.
Estevez's strikeout rate. Say it.
Estevez's strikeout.
I'll say it. Yeah, say that 5 times fast. Is very pedestrian. 7.5 strikeouts per 9. Not what you would expect from like a lights out closer, but he's getting the job done every single time. Takes the ball, gets his 3 outs, and he did give up the home run to Machado, just his second home run allowed in 33 2/3 of an inning this season on Friday night. But a 2.14 ERA, 22 saves. You like where you're at in the 9th with Estevez. You feel like you build a bridge to Estevez, you're going to be shaking hands in a few minutes. It's the bridge that has been a bit of an issue. We talked about Erceg. Didn't have a great weekend. Has not missed bats at the elite level that he missed bats at last season. He's done everything else at an elite level. His walk rate is below 2 per 9. His home run rate is around half a home run per 9. Mitigating those things is hugely important for late inning relievers, especially guys who come in those situations that Erceg comes in with runners on base. You don't want to turn those into 5-alarm fires. Now, unfortunately, he did a couple of times this weekend, but by and large, he's been able to snuff those fires out even without the big strikeout numbers. And a big part of that, his ability to limit home runs and walks. I still think Erceg is the guy that you trust the most outside of Estevez right now, just because lack of strikeouts through his first 29 appearances this year. After that, well, you can argue me in a lot of different directions. Would you say Steven Cruz has been the next best guy of the group so far?
Yeah, he's been in cruise control. That's what I would say.
Many would say that, and have to.
He's been really good. Here's the thing about volatility with the bullpen. I am of the belief that you generally ride the hot hand. And I know earlier in the show I said I'm not moving Erceg out of the fireman role full time for now because I'm still a believer in the stuff. I'm still a believer in that fastball. I'm still giving him a little time there. But right now, Steven Cruz, outside of Carlos Estevez, has been the best guy you've got. Put him in the situations where you need the best guy you've got. I have no problem with that because ride that horse till it bucks you off. That is how I feel about the bullpen. And that's how a lot of guys who have had success have gotten to that point. I know it's annoying to always bring up my favorite teams that are not the teams we talk about on the show. The Cubs' current closer is Daniel Palencia. He was a little iffy first couple games of the season, but he's been very good. The guy before him, who was the Cubs closer, Porter Hodge, pretty good. Numbers weren't great, but had some fielding problems behind him. Really good. He got injured. Okay, well, Daniel Palencia, you've been the best guy we've had for the last week, so you're the closer now. Has worked out, and he hasn't crashed yet. That does not always. The previous Cubs closer, Edbert Alzolay, it was the same thing. That doesn't always work. Sometimes Peter Principle applies to the bullpen too. Sometimes you're a really good 7th inning guy, and then they try you in the 9th inning, and it turns out you're a really good 7th inning guy.
Yeah,
like that happens. That's the reality of it. But until we have proof that Steven Cruz is not that guy, I say put that's your back three right now. Estevez, Erceg, Steven Cruz. Those are the 3 either best or most trustworthy guys you have, and I'm putting him in that role.
And I'm glad to see that Matt Quatrero is flexible with how he uses Erceg, that he wants to get Erceg in against the other team's best hitters, and that's where he's going to deploy his most trusted guy.
I've noticed that recently since Erceg's come back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we didn't necessarily maybe see that in the first part of the season until Erceg got hurt, but I noticed like he's coming in the 7th instead of the 8th, and they've got Cruz in the 8th, and it's just he's trying to figure out what role is best for Erceg. And when the Royals got Erceg at the trade deadline last year, they thought he was going to be the closer, right?
Well, no, they imagined him kind of in that fireman flexibility role, but then he was their best guy in the 9th inning, so they plugged him in the 9th inning, and he was terrific.
And now he is your fireman.
Yeah, and I think that's still, again, like I said, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about the strikeouts, but I think there's enough from Erceg, including a history of success, to show me he's going to bounce back. He's going to be fine in that role for the long haul. The only thing with Cruz is this is his first full big league season. He's never been this good at suppressing walks before, but he's only walking 2.5 guys per 9. Maybe he has fixed something long-term when it comes to his command. He's only allowed 2 home runs. So again, suppressing walks and home runs, 2 most valuable things you can do as a reliever, 2 of the 3. The other thing is strike a bunch of guys out. Cruz has fanned 28 and 29 innings. I'll take that. Cruz is performing like a top-end reliever, and so the Royals should feel pretty settled about what they have there. Every other situation, you feel like things are a little bit tenuous right now. Angel Zerpa had a good run of form, but I don't understand how a guy with 96 from the left side doesn't miss more bats. Like I don't get why Zerpa doesn't strike out more guys. I really don't. He has given up a little bit more in the long ball department than you'd like. 4 and 33 and a third. That's over a home run per 9. Don't love that. Daniel Lynch, the 4th, is the one. Like, I don't mind him situationally, but everything about his peripherals says that 2.36 ERA he's carrying is fool's gold. He's not missing bats. He's walking close to 5 guys per 9, which you do not want. I'm not really big on trusting him in the high leverage spots. I know we wanted to see him in that earlier in the year, but right now I do feel like he's better served in a multiple inning role. The second lefty in the bullpen right now, or the third lefty, I guess, is Sam Long, which maybe you missed that, but he's back. He worked an inning on Saturday in the game that was a lost cause. Obviously,
still hanging on to my stock.
Hey, look, he was terrible to start the year, and then he went on the IL, and we didn't see him for 2 months. And
the dip.
He came up, scoreless inning with a walk and a strikeout. If the Royals could get him back to 2024 form, that would be awesome. I don't think that's something you can count on right now, but Sam Long is back. And then Taylor Clark, who got off to a really nice start. What's he got? The ERA over 8 in his last handful of appearances.
You think you send him down and bring back Sisk?
So you're really lefty heavy. 4 lefties is a lot if you're not using one of them as like a full inning guy. And I don't know that Long or Zerpa are like full inning guys. You're still using them situationally. And I think Sisk is another one, Evan Sisk, who put up some really good numbers in his 5 appearances with 11 strikeouts in 5 and a third. We're talking about missing bats. Also walked 5 guys, which isn't what you want, but yeah, missing bats. But that's a situational lefty. And it feels like the Royals already have in Zerpa and Long guys that they're using situationally. Now, do I think that there's a case to be made for Jonathan Bolin on the big league club over Taylor Clark? I think that is something you can make a little bit more convincingly, but their full season numbers, they've each thrown around the same amount of innings, and Bolin's struck out more guys, but he's also walked a lot more guys, and both of them given up about the same number of home runs. Clark's older, more experience in the big leagues, more experience in a relief role, and maybe you want to see if you can develop Bolin into a late inning guy, which he's 28, still adjusting to being a full-time reliever, and you can leave Clark in more of a, let's be frank, he's kind of the Chris Stratton of the bullpen right now, where you're not seeing him in high leverage, you're seeing him in games. Now, he did come in a tight one on Saturday, but by and large, you have stopped seeing him in those high leverage situations.
Yeah, and look, if that's what you want to do with him, because you need a guy. If you score a bunch of runs and somebody has an 0 for 5, well, someone had to make the outs. Like There's always, even if you went to school and your graduating class was the smartest in school history, somebody had to have the lowest GPA. Somebody has to finish last. And if that's what you want to do with Taylor Clark, that's totally fine.
This is the thing about relievers, though, and this is why you can't just look at the earned run averages of a reliever, because Taylor Clark has appeared in 15 games, and 11 of his outings have been clean. 11 scoreless outings out of 15. 11 goose eggs. That's pretty good. So a couple of them have been multi-inning goose eggs, but
the peripherals are a little worrisome.
Yes, they are.
Dudes hit the ball really hard against him. He doesn't get a lot of swing and miss.
Doesn't walk guys. He lives in the strike zone, but he doesn't have great stuff.
And he's not striking guys out, like you mentioned. This is probably a little too mean, but I'm going to say it because it popped in my head anyway. Yeah, he's more experienced in sucking up the joint.
That is
that's quite mean. So sorry, Taylor, but again, I thought of it, so you have to hear about it. Yeah, I mean that is not a dude that I want in a meaningful spot right now, but it is also, and you were kind of getting to this, Dan, there's also the flip side of what we just said about Steven Cruz, and right now he's the guy. And until you find out he's not in that, reliable best stuff kind of role, then you keep him there. But he could very well hit a wall. Young reliever without a lot of experience, it might fall apart. If Taylor Clark all of a sudden goes 6 straight more appearances where he's got clean sheets, suddenly, Steven Cruz is fumbling a little bit. Lucas Erceg, the back is not fully healed. Whatever the reason is that he has struggled, maybe we do have to get Taylor Clark back in a medium leverage situation. Maybe we do need an arm in a situation late in the game, and we feel more trustworthy with him because he's been good as of late and has built that confidence back up. You have to really, really be awful to and have like nothing going for you to be completely out of the picture, because things can be so volatile, which is why Angel Zerpa, despite the fact that he's got that live arm that still doesn't strike anyone out, so like, yeah, but he's got the live arm. Like, you believe it could happen, right?
Sure.
You keep him around.
John Schreiber's actually been the best strikeout guy in this bullpen, which is not a sentence I thought we would be saying on June 23rd, but he's striking out close to 10 guys per 9. Problem is opponents are hitting 254 against him. Walks are okay. Home runs are not. 5 home runs in 29 innings. You don't love that. He has not been particularly dominant against right-handers either, like you would expect with his crossfire delivery, that he just own righties, but righties are hitting 250 against him. Their OPS is just 30 points lower than his OPS against left-handed batters. So Schreiber's kind of in a weird spot where, again, he's got what managers call a slow heartbeat. He's not going to panic. He's not going to freak out and throw the ball all over the place in a high leverage situation, but he's certainly not like a relief ace either. He's certainly 4th or 5th choice in this bullpen. And your 4th or 5th choice guys are never awesome. Not, unless you're the 2015 Royals, every now and again, your 4th or 5th guy, your Zerpas and your Schreibers and your Clarks, when they pitch important innings, are going to blow sky high. The best you can hope for typically is feel good about your bridge if your starter goes 6. And I still think the Royals are in a spot, given Cruz's emergence, given Erceg's ability, and given what Estevez has done in the 9th, I still think the Royals are in a position to feel good about their bridge. And I don't have really any qualms with how Q manages bullpen this weekend. I really don't. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and we'll wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. Real quick, as we wrap up this 4 o'clock hour, Andrew in the YouTube chat asked if the Royals might looking at acquiring a bullpen arm at the trade deadline with Hunter Harvey not supposed to come back until mid-July. Some guys struggling right now. I don't know that that's going to be a priority. Maybe if there's a left-handed upgrade to be found, they might look at getting a left-hander you feel like can also get right-handers out, because that's a piece they don't really have right now, is a lefty where you feel really good when a right-hander comes to the plate.
Yeah.
Like Zerpa and Long are situational guys. Sisk at his best is a situational guy. And for me, Lynch is your multi-inning, like starter knocked out of the game in the 4th, but we're still in it. We need the 5th and the 6th covered, or we need the 6th and the 7th covered because Erceg's down or Cruz is down. Let's see if Lynch can get us 2.
How many dudes are there in Major League Baseball whose best possible usage is 2 to 3 innings in relief? As he can't.
It's a
We've
tough
seen
role.
The starter thing. It is a tough role. But like Brad Keller with the Cubs this year, they've moved him to just a 1-inning guy. He's been great.
Yeah. Some guys
former starter. Why not multiple innings?
Some guys are better just letting it eat for 1 inning and letting it all hang out. Coming up the 5 o'clock hour, headlines. We say something nice about Big 12 teams and more on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 3 on this Monday on 580 Sports Talk. So glad you're with us for this final hour of the show today on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and you can watch us on our Facebook page as well, WIBW News. Dan Lucero and Brendan Dworzinski with you for this final hour of the show today.
And I hope you know that I'm the most glad that you're with us today. Dan might be glad, but I'm even more glad.
I didn't realize it was a competition.
Life's
Brendan.
a competition. You're competing from the moment of conception. Survival of the fittest.
Hey, listen, and that was a big win for me.
I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah, listen, I was born a winner. Well, when I put it that way.
Quite literally.
Wow. Okay.
From the very beginning, only the strong survive, brother.
We're both glad you're with us here on 580 Sports Talk, but Brendan is the most glad. However you're tuning in, however you're watching, listening, we're just glad you're here, hanging out, having some fun with us on this Monday on 580 Sports Talk. In this final hour of the show, we are going to attempt to say something nice about each Big 12 football team. We're going to leave Kansas and Kansas State out of it because we say nice things about them typically.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of nice things to say about them entering 2025, particularly Kansas State as a bona fide top 25 team and conference contender, and KU lurking as a dark horse. I think bowl eligibility is the bare minimum goal that program ought to have for 2025, returning to bowl eligibility. So we'll say nice things and continue to say nice things about the Wildcats and the Jayhawks in the lead up to the season. But it's not as easy to say nice things about programs like Oklahoma State or Houston or Cincinnati. So we're going to try. We're going to do our best. And if we can't say anything nice about them, then we're just not going to say anything at all. That's coming up later on this hour. Some final thoughts on the Royals, their weekend series, their series loss to San Diego. We got headlines, of course, to start the hour as well. You can join us on the show today via the text line. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the comments, or the chat, rather, on our YouTube stream. If you're watching us on YouTube, again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to that YouTube channel. Click that subscribe button. Smash it with all your might. Doesn't cost you a dime. It makes us smile. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. And if you're watching on YouTube, jump into the chat on the web browser or the mobile device. Interact with us, interact with your fellow listeners as we go along for this final hour of the day. We're going to do our 580 Sports Talk headlines, and we're going to break protocol a little bit here because the biggest sports story of the day the weekend was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. So with that in mind, we will start where we usually finish. We will begin with the final edition for the season of the playoff roundup.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk playoff roundup.
We will start with a congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the NBA champions, winning Game 7 of the NBA Finals last night, 103-91 over the Indiana Pacers. It is the first title since the franchise moved to Oklahoma City in their first overall since 1970. I'm going to get it wrong. 78, 79 was one of the two.
I think 79 is wrong, but that's the one I want to say.
It was 79. Yeah.
What? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
cool.
77 was Golden State. 78 was the Bullets. 79 was the Sonics. That was also a period of time where the NBA was, much like it is now, seeing new champions every year. This is now 7 straight years with a new champion in the NBA. Not a first-time champion, but a different champion.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, 7 straight years with a new champion in the NBA.
The NBA right now is the anti-college football, which does not have a new champion since, I believe it's 1996.
Right.
When Florida won its first.
Something like that. The Thunder also the youngest team in NBA history to win a championship as well.
So you mentioned the franchise. When eventually and here's the thing, the Sonics are coming back. At some point, the NBA is going to expand to 32 teams, and Seattle is going to get one.
There have been some rumblings. In fact, that process is going to start this summer.
Wouldn't be shocked. That's going to happen. And when it happens, the Thunder are going to give back the Sonics history in all likelihood.
No, they never took it. That was part of the agreement.
Really?
Yes, that was part of the agreement. That the Sonics history stayed in Seattle.
Okay, well, good. That's how it should be.
Much like when the Cleveland Browns moved to Baltimore, they left Browns history behind so that when the new Browns began playing in 1999, they just picked up where the old Browns left off.
Which is very, very funny for that franchise in particular. So there will be the Sonics again. But, I mean, these players, the same owner, like, handing the trophy to Clay Bennett last night, pretty gross. Like, I have nothing against OKC fans. Like, you guys individually did not steal a team from another city. I got no beef with you. Clay Bennett getting the trophy first, a little gross. I thought Mike Breen, though, when, for everybody who calls a championship event, you've called state championship games before, Dan. I've called state championship games. Like when you're calling, or for Washburn doing those games this past year,
right? When
you call those big events, whether you want to admit it or not, and we know Mitch Holthus plans these out, you need to have the right thing to say. And even if it's just for a few minutes before the game starts, you think about, what am I going to say when the championship is won? I thought Mike Breen actually did a really good job dancing around are they a continuation of the Sonics or are they their own thing, by saying it was the first time the NBA title had come to Oklahoma City, be very specific about the city. Yes. I thought he handled that actually very well.
Yeah.
The Thunder take the NBA by storm was a great line.
Yes. That was maybe a little predictable, but
hey, sometimes predictable is good.
Yeah. I think that was I think that may have been the line when the Lightning won their first Stanley Cup.
Oh, really? That's funny.
I think that may have been the line. Obviously different announcer, and I don't know that Mike Breen was watching those Stanley Cup finals, but you get it. Anyhow,
that was pretty funny.
It would be wonderful if that were the whole story of the game, that the Thunder held on at home and showed their championship toughness and proved their mettle and won the title. It would be wonderful if that were the story. It is not the story. The story of Game 7 was Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton tearing his right Achilles tendon in the first quarter. And I do not believe I've ever seen a more heartbreaking replay of an injury, not just the injury itself. I know people were critical of ESPN for showing the replay of the injury itself. First of all, it sucks that we all know what it looks like when somebody tears their Achilles now. Like, you don't have to be a doctor. No. We all know there is the telltale snap in the calf that you can see. It's like
the reverberation.
Yes, it's like a drape being pulled up abruptly and snapping up.
Because we've seen now, with the way the cameras are, they're everywhere.
HD.
The first one I remember, unfortunately, and I was listening to the radio broadcast for most of the first half because I was out running some errands last night. And Mark Kestecher and PJ Carlissimo, my guy, they kept mentioning like, hey, we're not going to speculate, but also like we all watched the 2019 finals when this happened to Kevin Durant. And that's the first one I remember when they had a camera right on his calf and seeing it have that vibration. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers a couple of years ago was the same thing. I mean, countless guys in the last 5 years.
Yeah, Jason Tatum, you saw, you knew, like
Dame Lillard this postseason.
Yep. You know that injury when you see it. Like, you can see a knee injury and not know what went on inside the knee. You can see somebody roll their ankle and not know whether it's just a rolled ankle or some more dangerous, damaging stuff has happened inside the ankle. But we all know the Achilles. And so we all knew what that was. Tyrese Halliburton knew what it was. And his reaction to the injury felt like something we weren't supposed to see. Like, that was something that was very personal and very, very painful, because I mean, of all the times for your body to betray you, in that moment, in that game, with those stakes, and make no mistake about it, Halliburton came out firing last night. You missed the game. Good. He knocked down 3 3-pointers early. Like, he suffered the injury in game 2 of the finals. The initial calf injury was in game 2 of the finals. He aggravated it in game 5 to the point where there was question whether he was going to play game 6. And he only played like 20 odd minutes in game 6, but he played pretty well, and the Pacers won big.
And they didn't need him. Yeah.
They didn't need him to play much more than the 23 minutes, I think it was, that he played. He came out for game 7. He wasn't going to hold anything back. The idea that he should have been protected from himself, nobody's sitting out game 7 of the NBA finals. It's not happening. You're going to play game 7. You work your whole life for game 7. If you're ambulatory, you're going to play. And he started the game ambulatory, and he was playing brilliantly. And it looked like the Pacers were positioned to go blow for blow and bring this excellent NBA finals to a classic climax. And then he blew his Achilles. And we all saw it happen. We all knew what it was right away. And we knew that not only was that the end of his night, it was functionally the end of the game. Credit the Pacers. They led at halftime.
Their defense in the first half was awesome.
They could have wilted and just said, hell with this, and lost by 35. They didn't. I think that they earned more respect from the casual, like, neutral viewer. And this is me speaking as a not neutral viewer who's a Thunder hater. But I think they earned more respect in defeat than the Thunder did in victory.
Well, I mean, I see where you're coming from with that. I truly went into this with I like watching Halliburton play. I like watching SGA play. Like, I had absolutely no feelings one way or the other about this series, except being pro Johnny Furphy, who did get in the game last night. Like, the Thunder were supposed to win. We all picked Thunder in 5. I think Spencer might even picked a sweep. Like, everybody in the world picked the Thunder to win this series. And they had the best regular season.
They MVP.
Dominated the playoffs. Yeah.
By some measures, this is an all-time great single-season team, the 2024-25 Thunder.
I mean, shoot, SGA broke Michael Jordan's record for most points per game, regular season and playoffs combined, for a championship winner, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, a record LeBron didn't break, or match or whatever. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did that. They were great. So yeah, like, for them, it's kind of, we were expected to win, and especially when the Pacers lose their best player, you kind of have to win that game. But the Pacers, they fought hard. TJ McConnell was out of his mind, but you could tell end of the third, start of the fourth quarter, they needed somebody who could make a shot and who could settle them down. And they did not have that guy, and they're putting up just junk, and it sucks. That'll be... there's always... This comes up on social media all the time. What's the biggest sports what if? And one of the ones that I always see is, what if Gordon Hayward shot one in against Duke? That's not one of the biggest what ifs. They win. Like that. Yeah. What do you mean, what if? There's no, like, domino effect. They just win.
Yeah.
And then Duke is still good and Butler's still probably where they are. They just win. This is literally like, well, no, we missed 3+ quarters of the Pacers' best player versus one of the best individual seasons ever in what's been an awesome series. And the feel like he's out next year. There will be no Tyrese Halliburton next year.
Yes.
That sucks.
Yes. The Eastern Conference looks like a train wreck next year because Boston has lost their best player, Jason Tatum, for the season with an Achilles. And Indiana has now lost their best player for the season with an Achilles. New York fired their coach. Milwaukee lost their second best player for this coming season.
And is coached by Doc Rivers.
With an Achilles tear, and might trade their best player. Although at this point, they got to come back to Giannis and say, dude, you're the best player in this conference by a long way. And if ever there's a time to overcome the Doc Rivers curse, it would be next year in Milwaukee. Like, who the hell's going to win the East? Detroit? Orlando? Like,
can I introduce you to Kobe White? Can I introduce you to Josh Giddey? No, to your point, though, we have a text here from the 785. If anyone questioned whether Tyrese Halliburton was a star before the playoffs, and there were plenty, there certainly were, he answered all those questions.
Yes, he did.
The Pacers come out of this with a higher profile than the Thunder did, because the Thunder was already so high. They were supposed to win this in, like, 4 games without breaking a sweat. And the Pacers pushed them, and I give them a lot of credit.
No,
it just sucks that that's how it ends.
Yeah, and it's not what anybody wants, and it's not how, again, if you're watching, you want to see a championship decided, because that game ended functionally when Tyrese Halliburton's Achilles blew out. That was the end of the game, and that was the end of the series, and the Pacers deserve credit for hanging tough and competing, but over 48 minutes, that was only ever going to end one way. There was only going to be one conclusion to that game when one team's best player goes down. There's just no analog for this. You don't replace that, in a moment like that. And it becomes and it's a little unfortunate for the Thunder, unless you're a hater, like, again, I am, that it does put a bit of a damper on winning the title, because it's a little like the Raptors winning in 2019. Well, Kevin Durant doesn't play all series, and he gets in for one game, and he's balling out of control, and he tears his Achilles.
And Clay was out that series too, or he was banged up too.
Clay got hurt in game 6. The deciding game is when
that's what it was.
Yeah, he did miss games in that series. Yes. I think he came back in game 4 or 5 of that series. That one's a little more complicated, but yes, the bulk of that series for the Warriors was played without their 2 best guys. 2 of their 3 best guys.
Yeah. But like, if you're a Thunder fan and you're saying, like, I don't care
they
rings.
Don't, yes,
well,
they
God,
don't,
I get it.
Yeah, they don't put an asterisk on the banner. It just says NBA champions.
Yeah.
They don't, the haters, can say whatever they want. They're not going to put an asterisk on the championship ring.
It was an awesome series, though.
I do think, though, that the idea that, and we do this every time a team wins a championship. All right, here comes the next dynasty.
Yeah.
This team has won one, and now they're never going to stop. And I understand why it's compelling to say that about the Thunder, because they have so many draft pick assets. They're super young. Like I mentioned, youngest NBA team to ever win a title. All their guys are young. Their core is pretty well locked up. They don't have a lot of tough salary cap decisions to make anytime real soon. So I get that compulsion. Here is my question, though, about the Thunder. They did not win this title by out-talenting everyone. They had more depth. You can argue that, okay, they're like 8, 9, 10 best guys, 8th, 9th, 10th best guys were better than everybody else's 8th, 9th, 10th best guys. That's true. But like outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they don't have superstars. They got nice players. They've got some very good role players, but they didn't out-talent everybody. This wasn't like the late 2010s Hamptons 5 Thunder, where they just had more guys and they buried you. The Thunder buried you because they were awesome defensively, and they were awesome defensively. Number one, a compliant whistle all season long. Let's just foul everybody, and we'll dare the officials to call it every time down. But also the way that they play, the intensity, the pace at which they play. You can do that when you're a young team for 100 games for a season. Can you go back and do it again the next year?
That's tough.
Can you do it again the next year without setting yourself up for the possibility of injury? You know who played at the fastest pace of any team in the NBA, ironically enough? The Indiana Pacers. Their best guy's Achilles exploded last night in Game 7. Made it almost all the way to the finish line, but couldn't make it any further than that. So that's the question, because I do think it's harder than ever to win a title, and I think part of it is you play so much basketball, and it takes,
and it's such a short off season,
so much out of you.
Yeah.
I will believe that the Thunder can do what they just did again. I'm not saying they're going to go 41-41 next year. Even I'm not that big a hater. But I will believe that they can play the way that they played, which is what made them special and made them champions. I will believe they can do that for 100 games next year with no issues when I see it.
One final thought on the finals. A brief, media ombudsman, media wars comment here. I hope that when next season starts, ESPN hires people who like basketball to be on their broadcast team.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that's all. They did a great job when they said, you know what, we're going to do, our NFL coverage stinks. You know what we're going to do? We're going to hire the best commentary team in the game that's not at NBC. And we're going to go get Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. And their presentation of it feels like very professional now for Monday Night Football. They're going to get a Super Bowl soon. They need that for basketball. And I like Mike Breen. Yeah, he's great. He's also kind of old and crotchety at this point, but like, between halftime and the broadcast team, and like y'all got to find some people who like basketball still, because it's pretty bad. Worsens the product.
I will say this: one certain member of the studio team has expressed a desire to run for president. I think ESPN should encourage him to do that and do his campaigning on someone else's network.
He's so intolerable, man.
Also, please take Kendrick Perkins off of my television.
Get rid of all of them.
I'd settle for just those two. Less Stephen A. and less Kendrick Perkins. I'd settle for less.
Yeah, the Morris brothers then are going to replace them. They're bad too.
Yeah, there's no.
Just get people who treat it like it should be treated.
Give me a headline, Brendan.
All right, let's stick with the NBA here real quick. This is more NBA talk than we will give you the entire rest of the year, so we'll go through it quickly.
This is a fact.
Kevin Durant's been traded again, believe it or not.
On the day of Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Involving Oklahoma City, of all teams. Kevin Durant is going to the Houston Rockets in exchange for the 10th overall pick this year, 5 second-round picks, Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks. I actually like this for both sides. The Suns need to reset, like, totally. Their vibes are terrible. They need young, cheap talent. That's fine. They might flip Jalen Green still. And the Rockets they need offensive help. And they just got Kevin Durant, who doesn't have to be their best player, which is like all he's ever wanted. Just hoop and not get all the attention.
I just don't know that they have enough shot creation. Like, Amin Thompson's a really good player. I don't know that they have enough, the Rockets have enough shot creation. And also, you're only going to get Durant for like 65 games. And like, does he have it in him for that? Might be on the high end.
Maybe just hold him out till Christmas.
Does he have it in him for that and a playoff run? I don't think he does. Like,
Şengün. That's what you got to know. Alperen Şengün. That's the name you got to know.
Yes, that is Turkish for can't guard his lunch. Is what that is.
Gets buckets though. But yeah, no, Kevin Durant traded again.
Player. Yeah. I understand why Phoenix did it. They're basically a Ponzi scheme. All they've got is 6 shooting guards.
I actually love their owner, who's just like, I'm going to take every single big swing possible, whether it's smart or not. I actually love that.
Do you think Matt Ishbia knew it was a salary cap league when he bought the Suns?
No.
do you think
I think he just thought he could buy a team.
Do you think he was surprised to learn
I don't
that?
think he had any idea that Bradley Beal had a no-trade clause. I genuinely do not think he knew that.
Let's do a couple more headlines. First from MLB Pipeline, big promotion for one of the top prospects in the Royals system and a top 100 prospect in baseball. Carter Jensen, who's had a breakout year at Double-A Northwest Arkansas, has been promoted to Triple-A Omaha. The left-handed hitting catcher is hitting .292 with a .360 on-base percentage and has broken into the top 100 prospect list according to MLB Pipeline. He's slugging .420, 9 doubles, 4 triples, and 6 home runs, also 7 stolen bases in his first full season at the Double-A level. You're going to hear Carter Jensen's name come up a lot here in the next month or so, because if the Royals make a big trade deadline splash, Carter Jensen is going to be in somebody else's organization. This is the piece that if the Royals go and try and get somebody, they're going to trade him. So this is a name to know, and if he does well in his first exposure to AAA, that may increase his trade value and mean that the Royals have to maybe attach less to Jensen. I hate talking about him in this context. Like, he's one step away from his dream of reaching the major leagues, and that's a cool thing for Carter Jensen. It's great for the Royals that they've had a prospect breakout in a system that had been fairly mediocre or worse coming into this season. But Jensen's a name to know, not just because he's now one step away from the major leagues, but because he is also the most likely name to be moved if the Royals do indeed go out and get like a difference maker. Like, if they add on the fringes, Jensen's not going to get traded. But they go get a difference maker, Jensen will be on the move.
For almost every team, or at least 1 or 2 teams every year, though, that have playoff aspirations, there's a prospect like this, right? Like, sorry to do another Cubs thing, but I remember 2016 when the Cubs had a couple different guys. Dan Vogelbach, who might have actually been moved the year before, he was at the time a really good first base prospect. The Cubs had Anthony Rizzo, who was in the midst of, I think it was 3 or 4 straight All-Star games. They were not going to move Anthony Rizzo, so Dan Vogelbach had to go. Gleyber Torres was the number 1 prospect in baseball. The Cubs at the time had a guy who we didn't know was a creep, and Addison Russell locked in at short, and Javi Baez at second base. They were never going to play Gleyber Torres. He had to go somewhere, and it worked out, won a World Series with him. And Torres has become a very nice, major league player. Vogelbach's washed out at this point. But every team with aspirations has a guy like that, and that's good. Like, we've got a guy blocking you at the major league level. That means we've got a good player at that level, and hopefully we can get some good players back from you. Speaking of young players, a quick one from the NFL. This is from Adam Schefter. Travis Hunter of the Jacksonville Jaguars officially signed his rookie contract. It is a 4-year rookie deal, $46.65 million, fully guaranteed. His $30.57 million signing bonus has been paid entirely up front. He is the first non-quarterback, not first overall pick, to get his entire signing bonus up front. That's not like, oh, yeah, this is going to keep happening thing. No, that's because this is Travis Hunter. I really am a believer that he is going to be a superstar. I do think, though, that I don't think he can play both ways in the NFL, at least not full time. It's too rough of a league. Dudes are too big. They're too fast. Too many injury concerns. I do wish, just in terms of where he would have been the biggest mismatch, I wish he had been a corner first and then a wide receiver mixed in. Sounds like the Jags are making him a wide receiver full time, and they'll worry about cornerback later, which is exciting for Trevor Lawrence because him and Brian Thomas Jr., whoa. But that's a pretty big deal. They are making a big bet on him. First-time GM who looks like he's fresh out of 8th grade decided to make this big swing. They're guaranteeing his contract in full. That's why it hadn't been signed to this point, because they wanted to get the guarantee done. This is a big deal. The NFL is betting on this dude. The Jaguars are betting on this dude. And you know what? I think it's going to pay off. I am a believer.
Last thing we'll do on our 580 Sports Talk headlines, we'll take you into the winner's circle from the weekend. LSU is your national champion at the Men's College World Series, with 1-0 and 5-3 victories over Coastal Carolina. That's 2 titles in 3 years, 8 all-time for LSU, and 6 straight natties for the SEC. Also, do want to shout out Bozo of the weekend, home plate umpire Angel Campos, who ejected Coastal Carolina's head coach like 6 pitches into Sunday's do-or-die game 2 for the Chanticleer. Absolute bozo behavior. You don't throw a coach out. If you can't handle the heat in a high-stakes sporting event like that, you can't handle a little bit coming from the opposing dugout for half an inning, you don't need to be umpiring or officiating games with that highest stakes. Go do some JV games. That's a little more your speed. Go do some JV games, Angel Campos. That was embarrassing.
Apparently, if your name is Angel, you should not be an umpire.
Yes, stop hiring angels or on hells to umpire, apparently, is the lesson here. In golf, Keegan Bradley wins the Travelers in Hartford, though it's more accurate to say Tommy Fleetwood lost it. This was so bad. Tommy Fleetwood has a 1-shot lead on 18, has a very makeable par putt. Not only does he miss the par putt, he happens to give Keegan Bradley the read for Bradley's birdie putt that wins him the event.
Because Bradley's previous shot was right behind Fleetwood, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I saw the highlights last night. Yeah, Fleetwood just yacked that one away.
Yeah.
2 of the last 3 Travelers for Keegan Bradley.
Yes, and he's starting to think maybe he could be a playing captain at the Ryder Cup. After all, he's going to be the U.S. captain this fall at Bethpage. And he wins this event. He might get into the top 6, automatically qualify as one of the 6 American players to play for Team USA. And he previously said he wouldn't be a playing captain, but now he's saying, well, hey, if I'm playing this good.
Bethpage black?
Yes.
Okay.
Bethpage black. Yeah.
I don't know about the other colors. I know they have black, though.
Also, it was a major weekend in women's professional golf. Minjee Lee wins her 3rd major title at the Women's PGA in Frisco, Texas. And in NASCAR, Chase Briscoe takes the checkered at Pocono. First win of the season, 3rd of his career. People complain about the racing at Pocono. I saw a lot on my timeline. I'm not enough of an expert to know if this is true one way or another. But a lot of complaints about Pocono being boring.
Interesting.
Boring racing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I did
just
not
know
catch this weekend's race.
The triangle, the one where they have like the triangle turn there, kind of in the middle. It's not a complete, just a straight up oval. But Chase Briscoe, 3rd career win, 1st win of the season, guarantees him a playoff spot. He's the winner at Pocono. We'll take a break, come back. We'll say something nice about the rest of the Big 12 football teams that are not Kansas and Kansas State, or we'll try. .535 on 580 Sports Talk. I don't remember which corner of the internet you got this idea from, Brendan, but I'm glad you found it.
Yeah, so I came across a thread on Reddit the other day. I spend way too much time there. Everyone does who's on there. On the college football forum subreddit. And one user, a Nebraska fan, said he was going to say something nice about every team in the FBS. And the joke is he had 135 teams listed. Colorado was not, which was very funny. Very, very good bit. But I thought, as you know, I often do when I see something like this, what if we tried to say something nice about everyone in the Big 12? We don't need to do the whole FBS. I don't think I have a whole lot on UL Monroe this year. Sorry to the Warhawks.
ULM mentioned.
But I thought it would be fun to see how many, if all, or at least a handful of the Big 12 teams we could at least say something nice about. Because I think there are some that are interesting. I think there are some that are going to be good. I think there are some that are going to suck major ass, to use the literary term. So I was thinking we take KU and take K-State out because we talk about them all the time. We have lots of nice things to say about them. You've heard that before. But if we take the other 14 teams, and we already kind of jokingly did this with UCF in the first hour because their stadium is now officially known as the Bounce House. It's not just a nickname anymore, which is dope. They're going to blow. So I'm not really interested in throwing them in here. But with how much time we have here, I will let you go first. From the other teams in the Big 12, pick someone and say something nice about them.
All right. Man, where do we want to go? We want to go. I'll go in reverse alphabetical order. I did do one for every team here. So I'll go reverse alphabetical order. I'll start with West Virginia. And I will say that West Virginia will not be as boring as they were in the Neil Brown era under Rich Rodriguez.
I would agree with that.
That program bored me to tears by the end of the Neil Brown era.
Neil Brown himself bored me to tears.
Yeah, they were just so nondescript. And I do not believe that West Virginia should be nondescript. Because I remember the Rich Rod years.
They should be the moonshine team.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember when Neil Brown was like, well, at least you're having fun at the game, right?
Yeah, you're having fun at your tailgates. Yeah, having a blast, Neil. What a dummy. Yeah. So, yes, West Virginia should be less boring than they were in the Neil Brown era.
Yeah, for better or for worse, right?
Yeah.
The good with Rich Rod is really good. Arizona, when he started there, oh boy. Jacksonville State the last couple of years, oh yeah.
We'll find out if the game at the higher levels has passed him by. I think we'll probably find it out real quick. But you know what? They're not boring.
I am going to start on the almost at the top of the list alphabetically. I'm going to go with an easy one here. I'm going to go with Arizona State. I don't know if I can say he's the best coach because Kleiman is around. Satake did an incredible job last year too. I think my favorite coach outside of the Kansas schools in the Big 12 is at Arizona State. I think the way Kenny Dillingham handles himself, I think the way he represents that program, and that part makes sense, right? Because he's an alumnus. You would think he would represent the school in a positive way. Not always. You got Scott Frosts every now and again. But he represents his school well. I think he does right by his players. From everything I've heard, not only does he treat his guys well, but he's very, upfront with them, and he's not going to jerk them around and say, hey, yeah, we need you to stay around. Maybe you'll play. Well, no, it's probably in the best for you to go move on and look somewhere else. Or guys who come in like, hey, Jeff Sims, you're a backup here. Like Sam Levitt's our guy. You're in your 14th year of college football. You're welcome to come, but you got to know the deal. And I appreciate coaches like that. In a business where everybody lies all the time, I like someone like that. And I think he specifically, and not only, but specifically, is one of the big reasons why they were so good last year. And why I think, even if I'm a little bit worried about if they can repeat it, why I still think they're going to be a top half to top quarter of the league team many, many years while he is there in Tempe.
I don't think the league could have asked for a better first champion in this current iteration of the Big 12 than that Arizona State team.
Yep.
They were a blast. Their coach is young, energetic.
Good personalities on the team.
Cam Scadaboo is an all-time treasure.
Yep.
That couldn't have asked for a better first-time champ in the new Big 12. I will go to one that maybe you thought I'd have trouble coming up with one for. Cincinnati. Let's say something nice about Cincinnati.
Okay.
Dante Corleone is a badass.
Yeah, he's sick.
Dante Corleone, one of the best defensive tackles in the country, dealt with a scary health situation last year. Blood clots. Held him out of summer and fall practices. Did manage to play most of last season, but it was touch and go there for a while. for Dante. And despite the fact that for a second year running, he probably would have been at least a day 2 draft pick, he stuck around. He's a redshirt senior. He's got one more year of eligibility. He's a Cincinnati kid. He's from the city, loves the school, wants to get it back to where it was when he committed to the program under Luke Fickell. So he's sticking around for one more year. Every program could use a guy like Dante Corleone. And he's a great player, too. Should be preseason first team all conference. He's that kind of talent. Shout out to him. Lots of respect for Dante Corleone, one of my favorite players in the conference. Also, this nickname's the Godfather for what should be obvious reasons.
Yeah, I was going to say best name maybe in the entire sport.
Yes.
Love that name. All right, I am going to go next. There's a few different ways I can go here. I am going to go with BYU. Here's the nice thing I'm going to say about BYU. There is no other combination of stadium, fan base, and kickoff time that you less want to go into than Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah after nightfall.
That's what I wrote down. Toughest road trip in the
Nowhere
league.
else you want. Go ask Kansas State.
Yep.
What if that game gets played anywhere else? K-State might win that game. And I know you say, well, they got crushed. They got crushed for 8 minutes, and it was just a deluge from that team. They were probably the better team for the other 52 minutes of that game. But for 8 minutes, BYU just destroyed them. It is the snowball rolling down the hill. And so many teams for years have gone there and thought, even when they were a little bit down, maybe didn't have the quarterback, yeah, it's BYU. It's fine. Nope. That to me, and you have to factor in the night game thing too. Oh, man, this might not be fair because the fan bases could not possibly be more different culturally. Is it Mountain Time Zone Death Valley? Saturday night under the lights in Baton Rouge is different. But if you're talking the western half of the country, I think that might be the closest allegory.
I didn't immediately try to cut your mic, so it's not that crazy.
Okay, all right, I'll take it.
No, not crazy. No, it's really not.
I got to get out there and have a cougar tail at some point, man.
Oh, for sure. It's a road trip I want to experience.
Me too.
Most definitely. I will say something nice about Iowa State.
Oh.
Rocco Becht is unafraid.
Yeah.
That is the nice thing. Now, you can interpret that in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Because Rocco Becht will make a lot of throws that are maybe at times ill-advised.
Mm-hmm.
Rocco Becht is not always going to play the cleanest game. Rocco Becht will throw you the ball, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
He threw K-State the ball a lot last year in Ames, and they wouldn't take the gift wrap interceptions. Yeah. What was the one game? I think it was UCF, where he was terrible for 3.5 quarters, but he led 2 drives at the end and ran for the game-winning touchdown. Rocco Becht doesn't scare. Rocco Becht is unafraid. Mm-hmm. I will take that and go to war with that anytime, even if I think I would rather have on balance the safer player, the one who takes fewer risks, makes fewer mistakes. You want the player to make fewer mistakes, of course, but sometimes you need a player who's willing to make a mistake. Rocco Becht is unafraid of making the mistake, and that's why he's one of the better starting quarterbacks in the conference.
This is because I know I'm higher on Becht than you are, but I had a very similar thought for him. Mine for Iowa State was, you've got a quarterback who can win you a game. That doesn't mean he won't also sometimes lose you a game. But we saw multiple instances last year, even if he stunk for 3.5 quarters, he said, all right, I'm going to go win. I am going to go make a play, and I'm going to take risks, and we're going to go win this game. And I respect that. And sometimes it's very Farvian in a way.
Yes.
Sometimes it's going to blow up in your face. But when it works, it's a lot of fun. I'm going to go with Baylor here. My good thing I can say about Baylor and Dave Aranda and the program as a whole, and trust me, if you've listened to the show for years, you know I don't really like to say nice things about Baylor. They are resilient as a program and Aranda as a coach, because it's easy to gloss over this now, given what they are kind of looking like going into 2025. If you remember going into 2024, that seat was hot for Dave Aranda. They had to have not just a bowl season, like, oh, okay, 6-6, no, they needed a good season. And they go 8-5 after, and they make it to a bowl game, obviously. They finished up the season 8-5. They did lose to LSU in the Texas Bowl. But hey, you won 8 games in the regular season. And now you set yourself up really well for the future, too, and for 2025, because it looks like you've got a quarterback in Sawyer Robertson, who there are some people around the conference who think might be the best quarterback in the conference. I don't know if I agree with that, but he's good. That is a good player. And they went from hot seat to we're going to focus. NIL is different now with the revenue sharing thing, obviously, but we're going to be very intentional with what we do with NIL. We're going to hit the portal hard, and we're going to build the culture. You've got to figure it out. We're going to give you all the tools you need. Figure it out. And they did. And I give them a lot of credit for that because a lot of programs try and they fall on their face.
I'm going to say something nice about Texas Tech.
Okay.
Talk about want to a lot in college sports.
I thought you were going to say you're rich.
This is a roundabout way of getting to that same conclusion. Yes, this is maybe this is 100 words when two will do. But Texas Tech has shown nobody's going to outdo them in the 1-2 department. That we talked about it in the first season of this new iteration of the Big 12, that there is a power vacuum. There are no blue bloods here. There is an opportunity to be the flagship program or among the flagship programs of this new Big 12. And Texas Tech has thrown a marker down and said, it will be us. It is going to be us because we are going to get the premium talent. We're going to do whatever it takes and spend whatever it takes to get that premium talent to come to Lubbock, Texas. Now, do I think Joey McGuire is necessarily going to be the guy who leads them to glory? Do I think it's a playoff team? Do I necessarily even think that their grand portal experiment is going to work? I don't know. We'll see. But we know how bad they want it. And typically in college sports, that's where it all starts. How great can you be? How great do you want to be? Texas Tech wants to be great, maybe more than any other team in the conference.
Yes, they're sure acting like it.
Yeah,
which is a big deal. My next one. Do you know what Glassdoor is? The website.
Yes,
you can find out about job openings or about employers, maybe even apply through it. So I'm going to say something nice about Oklahoma State. You are the program in the Big 12 most likely to end up on Glassdoor's annual list of the best places to work. You get incredible job security. Incredible job security. Mike Gundy, he should have been out on his butt 2 years ago. He's kicking back. Great benefits. Great PTO. You think that dude's hitting the trail hard during the offseason? Nope. He's fishing and watching OAN. Like that's what he's doing during the offseason, and he's not going to get fired. I got to take a little pay cut, but hey, I'm still employed. I still got my employee benefits. That's pretty nice.
That's true.
Hard to beat.
The thing I wrote down for Oklahoma State is those paddles are cool.
Sick. Oh, yeah, very unique.
You got the paddles against the wall.
Very annoying, and I mean that as a compliment.
Because you're right on top of the field, the
Boone
Pickens Stadium. I'll do one more. I'll do Colorado.
Okay.
Colorado might have the best secondary in the Big 12 this coming year.
Okay.
They got a lot of talent, and they don't have Shiloh Sanders. Addition by subtraction.
Real quick, last one for me. Houston, you've got the coach who's going to figure it out. I don't know that it will be this year, but Willie Fritz will figure it out at Houston. I am certain of that.
They have a lot of 1-2 too. We haven't seen it yet, but we will. Believe me, Tillman Fertitta money. We will see it. We've seen it in basketball. You're going to start seeing it in football too. We'll take a break, come back. A quick final Royals thought on their weekend when we come back on 580 Sports Talk. Winding things down here on 580 Sports Talk. It gets lost because the Royals lost yesterday, blew that 2-0 lead. But Seth Lugo was really, really good again. Even though he did not factor in the decision, he was terrific. 6 1/3, a run on 2 hits. The run that scored was inherited. Didn't walk a batter, struck out 7, and did not allow a home run, which had kind of been a bugaboo for him early in the season since his second start back from the injured list. Because he came back from the injured list, pitched against Detroit. It didn't go well. So really for the month of June, we're talking here. In his 4 June starts, he's posted a 1.57 ERA, 4 runs, all earned on 12 hits in 23 innings, just 1 home run allowed in his last 4 starts, and most pivotally here, 23 strikeouts in 23 innings. I know I sound like a broken record talking about strikeouts, but the best version of any pitcher is one who misses bats. And Seth Lugo, just like last year, it feels like what happened last year. He got off to a slow start in that department, started ramping it up as the year went on, and pitched like a Cy Young candidate the rest of the way. Seems like he might be starting to do that here in the month of June. And boy, do the Royals need him to be that right-handed complement to, well, right now, Chris Bubich at the top of their rotation.
Well, and I understand why it might sound repetitive, but if you just really break it down to the atomic level, if the ball is in play, and more often than not, far more often than not, when the ball is in play, you're going to record an out, right? Yeah. Like that's just the way baseball works. But ball gets hit. What could happen? It could just land where they ain't, and that's a hit. It could be hit really hard out of the park. It could be hit really hard off the wall, bounce off the wall, whatever. It could hit a guy in the glove and he drops it. It could be scooped up cleanly but thrown away. Lots of things can happen. You know how you avoid any of those potentially bad things happening? Ball never gets put in play.
Yeah.
And that's truly at its most basic level what you're trying to control. And if you're able to do that more often than not, you're going to put yourself in a pretty good spot. Why do you think so many of the great pitchers from history are dudes who could blow you away? Well, because they didn't give their defense or anyone else a chance to make something bad happen.
It takes luck and variance and the guys behind you out of the equation, and it's the surest way to get an out. And if Seth Lugo's ramping up the strikeouts, and the numbers back this up, his best number of swinging strikes in a game yesterday at 13 swinging strikes. Stuff is getting sharper. Seth Lugo getting better. Another older player warming up with the weather, just like Salvador Perez, who homered again yesterday. Royals need both of those guys, but boy, it's been really good to see Lugo back in form in the month of June. One last break. We'll come back with a final word on 580 Sports Talk. Wrap it up, walk it off, a Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk with the final word. Brendan Dworzynski.
Final word for me is that I had to step out of the studio briefly while we talked about Jawaan Taylor earlier on, and my official stance is I think he's going to start at right tackle, and I think he's going to start there all 17 games, barring injury. I understand that maybe you feel like Simmons and Moore are your best group, but this is Andy Reid and Andy Heck we're talking about, and unless they get pushed into a spot where they cannot live with Jawaan Taylor there at right tackle, I think they'd rather stick with the beast they know than the beast they don't. And I think Jawaan Taylor is, for better or worse, going to be your starting right tackle all season.
My final word is I still trust Lucas Erceg. I know he had a rough weekend. I know that he has missed some spots and put his team into some bad spots in a couple of rough outings this weekend. And I do have some concern about the strikeout rate being so far down for Erceg this year. But when I watch him pitch, I still see the fastball up around 98, 99. I still see the slider. I still see the changeup as a pitch that can be effective for him. I don't think he's executing right now. I think it's an issue of execution more so than it's an issue of stuff backing up or him no longer being reliable. And when he comes out of the bullpen, I still feel pretty good that Lucas Erceg is going to get the job done for the Royals, and I think Matt Contreras should still feel pretty good about what Erceg can do. We're back tomorrow from 3 to 6. We'll preview a big week ahead for Royals baseball. Continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. For Spencer and Brendan, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.